So yeah, so thank you so much. Thanks for being here. And now I think after this introduction and thanking you everyone, I'm happy to introduce Ramon Maspons. Ramon Maspons will be our first speaker today. He's the Chief Innovation Officer at Aquas and also the Chief Health Innovation Strategist at the Ministry of Health at the Government of Catalonia. Ramon has more than 10 years experience in hospital and medical innovation and more than 15 years experience in European projects. So Ramon will give a first introduction. So please, Ramon, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Thank you. First of all, as Maria pointed out, thanks everybody for the flexibility for joining virtually today. Because of this emergency situation, we have had to change our plans, but I'm sure everybody agree that clearly this change and this online meeting demonstrates and show us that the commitment and the resilience of this project and of this consortium. So happy to join everybody online. Just few words in order to share with you some ideas. First of all, this unexpected change of the event reflects one of the main strengths of our healthcare systems, the resilience and the ability to adapt quickly and continue to move forward even in difficult circumstances and with difficult environment. So pleasure to welcome you to RaDAR-PPI event today. RaDAR, it's clearly an initiative that show how innovation can help us, can become a true driver of the transformation of the healthcare sector. Our healthcare sector, not only in Catalonia, overall, is undergoing a big transformation, a profound transformation, increasing complex challenge related with aging population, related with chronic disease, related with workforce reductions, related with climate change. So clearly focus on looking for greater efficiency, sustainability, and of course, one of the main threats is related with antimicrobial resistance, AMR. For sure, at least from our point of view, this transformation is not optional, it's a must. And we want to ensure if we want to ensure a resilient and high quality healthcare systems, it means that we have to focus on patients. So with all this environment, with all this situation, with all these changes in our healthcare sector, it's clear for us, at least in the last years, and from our experience, that PPIs, public procurement of innovation, is emerging as one of the most strategic and powerful tools. We are not talking longer about procuring better, we are talking about procuring to transform. So PPI allows us as public sector, as public procurer, to act driving innovation through identification of real system needs, creating demand for solutions that are not previously available in the market. This acceleration of technological development reduces the time to adoption and to offer clinical solutions, organizational pathways, and to create social value. With all this approach, for sure, AMR is one of the main critical areas. It's one of the main serious global health problems, one of the main global health threats, because finally it compromises treatments, prolongs hospitals' stays, increase healthcare costs, and most important, put patient lives at risk. The ability to detect rapidly, accurately, and efficiently is critical at the end. So it's one of the main threats for our healthcare systems, and all related with increasing control and prevention is one of the main challenge for our institutions. So RaDAR-PPI is clearly focusing these points. Through this cross-border collaboration, the project launched some years ago, clearly a message to try to identify advanced solutions for this rapid detection of AMRs, and for sure is providing us with new technologies and, of course, giving us the possibility to have a replicable model based on needs assessment, institutional cooperation, cross-border approach, and this dialogue quietly structured with market. With all these issues, at least from our experience, RaDAR-PPI is providing us points related with accelerating innovation in a very important clinical area for our healthcare sector, giving us the possibility to bridge the gap between healthcare needs and technological solutions, foster increased collaborations between and among healthcare institutions, and finally, to contribute to prepare our healthcare system in a more resilient and value-driven way. So, with all of this, today we have the possibility, unfortunately, to meet not face-to-face, but virtually, to share all this experience with all the stakeholders, to point out, to reaffirm our strategy for transforming healthcare sector based on collaboration, innovation, and public leadership. And just for ending, I'd like to thank European Commission, all the institutions involved, professionals, and all the partners involved in the consortium, and a special recognition for Enric Limon as one of the leaderships, at least in Catalonia, of all these issues and the Aquas teams. And thank you everybody for being part of this journey with us for a more innovative, resilient, and sustainable healthcare systems. So welcome back, and wish you an inspiring and not windy event. Thank you everybody. So Maria, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Ramon, for your words, and indeed, we hope we can see each other again in person and not in a windy weather soon. I think it was very enlightening. Now we will move to our next speaker, that is Marco Iaquito. He holds the role of project advisor at the European Innovation Council and SMEs Executive Agency, EISMEA. And he's also the project officer for the RaDAR-PPI project. Thank you, Marco, for your time and also for coming to Barcelona. It's a pity that you are here and we are having the event online, but thank you so much, and the floor is yours. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Bon dia. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Ramon. Yes, indeed, it's a pity we cannot meet in person for this event. But as we say, the show must go on, and I'm sure that we will all have a very fruitful discussion today relating to public procurement for innovation and to AMR. My name is Marco Iaquito, I'm project officer at EISMEA. It's the European Innovation Council and SMEs Executive Agency. Thanks again for the invitation to the RaDAR Consortium, and been following the project since the launch of the project in 2022. We are in the final phase of the project, so it's a very it has been a challenging project, a very interesting project, and I'm sure that we can take out a lot of outcomes and very good lesson learned and experiences coming from the PPI experience together linked with the AMR topic. Just a little introduction for those of you who are not familiar with the European institutions. Our agency is based in Brussels, and we manage the European Innovation Council and other EU programs related to SME support, innovation, and access to the market. It is important to a little bit understand the role of the European Commission and the agencies. While the European Commission, in this case, it is the Directorate General DG GROW, our parent DG, that it is also following the projects, while the DGs and the European Commission set out the policy framework. ISMEA, as other executive agencies, we implement and we translated those policy framework orientations into specific projects. RaDAR is one of these translation, is one of these projects that was funded under the 2020 call for proposal public procurement for innovation. The priority of the call was to support projects developing public procurement for innovation, so focusing on methodologies, approaches in order to foster collaboration models that enable innovation to reach the market through public demand. The call was not sector specific, that is to say that the sector and the topic was proposed then by the consortia applying to our proposal, in this case rather with the AMR. That is to say that basically the objective of the call was therefore not to promote innovation in a specific domain, but rather to strengthen the capacity of public authorities and public buyers to use procurement strategically as a driver of innovation, regardless of the sector. It goes without saying that public procurement is an important topic. It is an important policy for the European Commission, as it represents the 14% of the European Union GDP. So European Commission is really working on, first of all, fostering the policy, so to create a more environment-friendly public procurement for innovation, in order also to support SMEs and also to support innovative companies to meet the needs of the public buyers. The European Commission is also working with the regulation and with the directives, trying to make it flexible even for public authorities to use the public procurement for innovation also at European level. Another important element is what also Ramon was mentioning, the cross-border collaboration, which is a clear example that we have here in RaDAR with a consortium involving countries of the European Union and public buyers from three different countries. So throughout some specific activities and funding schemes under programs, European programs such as the Single Market Program, Horizon Program, and Digital Europe, really want to co-finance PPI, Public Procurement for Innovation, but also PCP initiatives, pilot projects, in order to encourage this cross-border collaboration between public authorities, in order also to reduce the risk of for public buyers while creating market opportunities for innovative companies. Another important point is the capacity building approach that the European Commission is adopting in order to help public procurement for innovation. With this, I want to say that public procurement for innovation, it is not only a financial challenge or a legal challenge, it is also a skill challenge. So it is important for the European Commission to build community of practices, to build groups discussion in order to bring together public authorities, together with innovators, together with the SMEs. And last but not least, another important point that we also discussed yesterday during the meeting that we had with the RaDAR consortium is the impact. We do not want public procurement for innovation developed throughout initiatives such as RaDAR to end and to die with the project. For us, it is really important to see the sustainability, and also the project shall ensure sustainability after the end of the project. So it is important, once the initiative will come to an end, to leverage on the results, on the outcome, on the best practices, either from a public procurement point of view, of course, for the practices, also in this case for the specific topic of the AMR, which is, I'm learning, it's still a complex topic. Yesterday, just to make a joke, I said, if we think financial regulation of the European Commission is hard to understand, AMR it's much more difficult topic to understand, to develop. So, I mean, the invitation from our side is, of course, to boost the public procurement for innovation discussion, because, of course, this is the main priority of our goal, at least for what regards our agency and DG. But I know that other DGs and other agencies are working a lot with the AMR. So it's really interesting also to understand that this kind of synergies and collaboration that can be activated and enabled within still the European Commission. And what we are doing to support also the public procurement for innovation and public procurement in ESMEA, we have several initiatives. I would like to mention 3 in particular that I think will be very useful also for you, for today's participants. First of all, the Public Buyers Community Platform that facilitates knowledge sharing among public buyers. We have also the Big Buyers Working Together initiative that strengthens collaboration among contracting authority and enabling them to engage in strategic procurement. And finally, we have also the Innovation Procurement Hubs, a project within which public buyers with cities are one of the main targets, benefit from a direct support in establishing innovation procurement departments within their administration. There is a lot to do. RaDAR is part of this work to enhance and further strengthen public procurement for innovation, also in the specific topic of AMR. Once again, thank you very much indeed for the invitation. Unfortunately, we cannot meet in person, which is my loss personally, that I cannot meet you, also the SMEs and stakeholders involved in the project, as companies of directly procured via the project, and the other stakeholders in AMR. But once again, I'm confident that the discussion will be very fruitful. So without further ado, thank you very much indeed, and I will be following the discussion with you. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Marco. Very interesting and an important point of view also from the Commission and everything that you do and how you promote public procurement and innovation and this kind of projects. So thank you so much for your time and of course for coming again. We will now move to our next speaker, to our next presentation that is focusing on the identifying unmet needs and antimicrobial resistance from both PPI and One Health perspective at a local and global level. It is a pleasure to welcome also Luis Lucena from INSERM. INSERM is the French National Institute of Health and Medical Research. INSERM, and is the public research organization dedicated to biological and medical research and to human health. INSERM is part of the RaDAR project, so they have intensively collaborated in several parts, and they are working also on a One Health policy brief. So, Luis, the floor is yours, and you can tell much more about what you are doing. Thanks.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Maria, for the nice introduction. I'm going to share my screen. I hope you can see my slides now.
Yes, we can. not in presentation mode yet.
Yeah, I think it's loading.
Thank you.
Yes, so as Maria said, we are working in this project uh, with the aim to have a policy brief looking at the One Health approach to tackle AMR through innovation procurement. So this presentation is divided into different sections. One is on the One Health dimension of AMR, then about our unit and our actions at national and European level, and about the objectives of this deliverable. So thank you, Ramon, for the introduction on AMR. I think it's been very great. Now here I'm giving you a glimpse of the One Health dimension of AMR. So it is estimated that the global consumption of antimicrobials comes mainly from animals, around 70%. And many of this antimicrobial consumption goes into the environment through our excretions, and some of them are still active when it goes to the environment. Nevertheless, the current wastewater treatment methodologies are not technologically prepared to remove these AMR determinants and other chemicals of emerging concern. So this poses the risk that these determinants, these polluting molecules, go to the environment and then remain there and goes into the food chain. It is also estimated that around 56% of domestic and industrial global wastewater released into the environment with little or no treatment. That means that many countries, especially in low and middle income countries, do not have wastewater infrastructure at all or very little. And as a consequence, antimicrobial resistant bacteria and resistant genes have been found in reused water for crop irrigation and also in soil fertilization. Many manufacturing of sites of antibiotics are located in Southeast Asia, and some studies have found high elevated antimicrobial residues in the environment, highly over therapeutic levels, so it's very concerning. And some recent studies have found that resistant genes have been found even in the clouds and also in the so-called plastisphere. So it's all the microplastic cosmos that is in the oceans, for example. If you want to know more about the One Health dimension of AMR, in the RaDAR project in 2024 for the World Antimicrobial Resistance Awareness Week, we made a series of dissemination videos on AMR and One Health. So we explained the concept of One Health, AMR, and also the need for innovation across One Health sectors. And this has been in collaboration with the JAMRAI that I will explain later. So please visit our YouTube channel and videos are there. So who are we? We are Resin Fit. It's a research unit, a laboratory unit on focusing on antimicrobial and anti-infective resistance in bacteria and viruses, and we are located at the University and Hospital Center of Limoges in France. And we belong to the National Network of Institutes of Health and Medical Research, which is called INSERM. We are leaders of national and European projects on AMR. At national level and in France is PROMISE, which is a One Health professional community meta network to tackle AMR. And then we were responsible for the first and the ongoing second edition of the Joint Action on Antimicrobial Resistance and Healthcare-Associated Infections, EU JAMRAI. Regarding PROMISE, it was launched in November 2021 and is funded by the French Priority Research Program on Antibiotic Resistance. It's composed of 120 members across the human, the animal, and the environmental sectors. And the main goals are to build interactions between actors in order to break silos and improve the surveillance of AMR, improve clinical and preclinical research, and promote the sharing of data, skills, and knowledge sharing. There are many activities going on in the framework of this project, but I highlighted here some of them. So, for example, together with the University of Tours and Limoges, we have launched a university diploma called antibiotic resistance and the global One Health approach. And many students have benefited already from this degree, and we are now having another another group of students this year. We also contribute to public health policy and design and implementation of national action plans. And we have performed many webinars, and we have done a hackathon on AMR. There's been a big consolidation of research and public health groups on environments for AMR, which is called AMR-ENV. And also in the research area, there's been the anti-biodiesel network, where there's researchers working in France for the development of new antimicrobials. And in parallel to this, we are in charge of the EU JAMRAI as a coordination team. It's a European project financed by the Commission with 50 million euros. It's 30 countries working in this project, 27 member states plus Iceland, Norway, and Ukraine, with over 100 partners. It's a 4-year program, and it also involves the human, the animal, and environmental sector. We have 10 areas of work. Half of them are technical, working mainly on antibiotic diagnostic and stewardship, infection prevention and control, One Health surveillance, access to antibiotics and diagnostics, and communication and awareness. And this project mainly focuses on helping countries perform pilots, implementing tools, sharing best practices, building networks, and support national activities. So regarding this project in the RaDAR, in our unit, we are looking at how AMR could be tackled through innovation procurement with a One Health approach. So for this, we have decided to make a first review of the current innovation procurement regulations. The public procurement directive is being reviewed at the moment, and it's been under consultation for feedback. So we will include aspects of this, and we will list some benchmarking exercises that have been done at the innovation procurement level on all biomedical areas so far by Europe, but we will give recommendations also oriented towards AMR, and we will also add some ideas for AMR incentives that have been drafted in the EU, in the first edition of the EU JAMRAI. We also have looked at the public procurement innovation practices in the field of AMR at the EU level and also at the country level for the RaDAR countries. And we want to identify barriers such as technical or governance barriers. In parallel to this, we are also mapping innovation needs for AMR in the animal and environmental fields. So for this, we have done a review of global action plans and research agendas in order to identify common and specific research needs across these sectors and identify areas for potential innovation, such as food-producing animals, food safety, plant health, and the environment. On top of this, we are also working in order to identify AMR needs for the animal health. We have launched a survey on animal health and AMR innovation with the support of Diagnostics for Animals, Animal Health Europe, and the Spanish Agency for Medicines and Health Products. And the intention of this survey is to have an updated inventory of potential AMR solutions that are currently available or under development in the European market, identify the technical unmet needs and demands related to AMR, and understand the enablers and barriers. This survey has been split into 3 parts, one on the clinical unmet needs, another on the emerging innovative solutions available, and the enablers and barriers. The survey has been postponed until the end of the project, but the sooner the better. So please, if you are involved in this sector, please have a look with our QR code. We have been doing a very big work of identifying stakeholders for dissemination of this deliverable and also for the invitation for this survey. And so we have made different categories. So procurement networks, policymakers, research as innovation networks, AMR funders, EU agencies, industries, SMEs, health practitioners, and civil society across human, animal, and the environment. The deliverable will be published around the end of this first Q1, around end of March. We will be sending to all these people the deliverable for consultation, and we will be discussing the findings in a public webinar that will be hosted in the European health policy platform, and we will invite members from One Health sectors at European level. And after that, we will publish the final policy brief with results and recommendations. And I didn't want to finish without saying a couple of things about communication. So in the first edition of the Jamrai, they have created this symbol that you see in the center. It is the AMR symbol, which is the analogous symbol to the fight against AIDS. So we need to increase awareness about this symbol. We wanted to give it to you with in the form of pins, but due to weather conditions, we are not hosting this meeting online on site. So in 2025, the communication team of the Jamrai made a social media campaign to increase awareness about AMR through the use of famous paintings in a way that anyone could use these paintings to reflect the message on AMR in a humorous way. And it had a lot of impact in the social media. And then this year, they have selected 30 illustrators from 30 countries in order to share different stories about AMR. And this is available in our website. It's also being delivered through European countries in the form of books. And there's also an itinerant awareness raising exhibition that is currently going on in Vienna. And then we'll be moving to Warsaw in Poland, then Brussels in Belgium. And there are also dates for Madrid in Spain and Rome in Italy. And apart from that, I didn't want to finish without saying, well, thank you. Please connect with us. We in the Jamra, we have a newsletter that is sent every 3 months with our advances so far. And we have also a weekly digest on AMR news. And we also have a stakeholder forum where we discuss several things about AMR, different topics. And we have recordings on this on our YouTube channel that you can visit with the QR code if you are not part yet of the stakeholder forum. And this is everything from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis, for the presentation, for the insights. It was very interesting to know what's going on in the European Union, so what other projects are there, etc. So thanks a lot for sharing. And yes, it's a pity that you could not give the AMR pins to everyone. Would have been great. I have some, so if Luis gave them to me, so if we ever have the chance to see each other in person, I can give the pins on behalf of Luis. Thanks. It's now actually my turn to briefly introduce you to the RaDAR project. So I'm going to also share my screen. Perfect. I think you can see it now, right? Perfect. Okay, so I will briefly introduce the RaDAR project. Just as a reminder, my name is Maria Pons Vizcarra from Aquas, and we are the project coordinators of RaDAR-PPI. So in the next few minutes, I will walk you through the main objectives of the project, its structure, and where we stand today. So RaDAR stands for Rapid Detection and Control System for Antimicrobial Resistance. It is, as it was explained before, it is a value-based public procurement of innovation project and is co-funded by the European Commission. So let me start with some things that have already been discussed in this meeting. So what is the problem? So the context on AMR. So in 2019, around 5 million people died from illnesses, diseases related to AMR, and approximately 1.3 millions of those deaths were directly caused by resistant infections. If nothing changes, by 2050, it is expected that there will be more deaths related to AMR than to cancer. So then this represents a very high economic burden, around 1.5 billion euros annually in healthcare costs and productivity losses in the European Union. So we can say that the way we treat infections today is putting our future health at risk. So what do we need to do to fight back these resistant infections? RaDaR aims to respond to the EU joint action on AMR called the EU JAMBRI and the EU Action Plan. Some goals are to improve the early detection systems, to ensure good patient care, to monitor resistance and virulence, to improve treatment effectiveness, and to reduce healthcare and government costs, and also reporting and communicating quickly to improve system resilience. We had an example of this during the COVID-19 pandemic that showed the importance of all those elements and how effective infection detection and control systems were critical to containing its spread. And also important is that RaDaR is built on the experience of a pre-commercial procurement project called Anti-Superbugs. So RaDaR leverages the knowledge generated in the PCP to adopt a mechanism for managing antimicrobial resistance. So where are we now and who are we? RaDaR started in January 2022 and will run until June 2026. To work on this project and to find a system to control the antimicrobial resistance, we have a consortium made of 11 members. They're all partners from Europe, and I will introduce them a bit more detail in a moment. At least the buyers that they will all also speak later in the roundtables. But basically, we have RESA in France, that is the central purchasing body. ICO, the Catalan Institute of Oncology here in Barcelona, or in L'Hospitalet, the University of Naples Federico II, Department of Public Health in Italy, the Reference Laboratory of Catalonia, and BioGipuzkoa, that is a health research institute in the Basque Country. They all, as buyers, they all purchase innovative solutions with a different budget and with different procedures that I will explain a bit more briefly later. There are also 6 supporting entities: Aquas, the entity that the agency that I represent, which also acts as the project coordinator. Then INSERM, Luis and Marie-Cécile, also here at the meeting, are from INSERM in France, which are coordinated JAMBRI 1 and JAMBRI 2, a joint action, as Luis explained, with more than 30 countries involved. We have also INSME, also Giovanni and Maria Wanda are present at the meeting. That is a small company handling the communication part. JERA, that is a consultancy with experience in innovative procurement. And then a Consorcio de Salut Social de Catalunya, that is also a Catalan central purchasing body that acts in support with the Laboratory Referencia, and Hospital del Mar, that is the general hospital in Barcelona, piloting the solution both together with the Laboratory de Referencia. So all these partners, we all work together and collaboratively to reach this common objective and shared goal of studying and having a detection system for antimicrobial resistance. So very briefly on the 5 buyers that we have first of all UNINA, the Department of Public Health, the University in Naples Federico II. It's a general university hospital that is part of the Italian procurement health system and provides services to the entire Campania region. Then RESA, a central purchasing body that purchases on behalf of the public hospitals in France. And we have in Catalonia 2 entities acting as buyers, the Institut Català d'Oncologia, or ICO, which is an oncology hospital and a reference cancer center. It treats immunocompromised patients who are especially vulnerable to infection. So it's also very important there to be able to treat it in advance. And also ECO is linked to the VINCAT program, that is an infection surveillance program in Catalonia aimed at reducing infection rates. Laboratori de Referència de Catalunya is the reference laboratory and is a clinical analysis laboratory that provides services to Hospital del Mar and 16 other healthcare centers from Catalonia. Laboratori de Referència deals with, here it says 16 million, but yesterday we were already explained that it's more than 17 million tests per year. And its procurement will be used to analyze the samples from Hospital del Mar patients. That Hospital del Mar has more than around 1,000 beds and for a population of 300,000 inhabitants. And then the last buyer is BioGipuzkoa, that is a health research institute recognized by the Spanish government that has the capacity and structure to manage efficient translational research and innovation in medical and health technologies. So the buyers will all talk later, so they will explain in more detail what is their purchase and what they are doing, their procurement. So from RaDAR project, how do we structure the project? So at Aquas, we try to follow, and in other innovation procurement projects also, we try to follow a step-by-step approach. So first, we define the demand and what the unmet need is. Each buyer identified their own specific need, and we prioritize the most important elements and build a business case for each one. Then we assessed what the market can offer. Is there already a solution out there? Is the solution mature enough? We do state-of-the-art and horizontal scanning analysis, and also an open market consultation to ask suppliers what they can provide. So those we assess the maturity and feasibility of the solutions, so whether the market can respond to these needs. Finally, we check whether it's feasible to proceed with the procurement, and in this case, among other options, we chose the public procurement of innovation. So then the tender is launched with clear conditions also about the payment outcomes and how to bring value. So the tender also specifies payment systems, including payment by results and risk-sharing mechanisms to maximize this value. So basically, what we did in RaDAR is that we had a common preparatory phase that all consortium members, especially the buyers and the hospitals where the technology will be implemented, work together to define the clinical demand. We also studied the current workflow and how it could be improved, identifying bottlenecks that were slowing down the process at that moment. Then we organized joint international market consultation plus local consultations at each region. And then each buyer launched its own tender, reflecting its specific need, but with a common goal. And then once the contracts were awarded, each center is implementing the solution locally, but we are also monitoring. The monitoring is coordinated across all sites. So we used also to prepare the project the theory of change, in which we involved all the different stakeholders, patients, professionals, healthcare providers, to define the short, medium, and long-term results. So in the long-term result, what we want, the aim was to transform the way healthcare services are delivered, especially regarding infection prevention and control and stewardship, and treatment and management appropriateness. Then in medium term, we want to improve AMR and how is managed, including four areas: the patient, pathogen, sample, and prescriptions. And the short-term goals were to include the better access for the professionals and tools to manage the pathogens at hospitals. Once we know how what is the impact that we want to achieve, we can define also the activities needed to get there. So we defined the activities were defined with and were grouped in four main categories that are the different colors that we have here, that are infection detection, MDRO detection, training, access and visualization of data, and interoperability. So from these activities, each buyer chose the ones that matched their specific needs, taking into account their specificities, so the specificities of their institution, but also the budget and the financial risk each entity wanted to assume. So that's why each tender was slightly different, but with the same goal to improve control over AMR. So from those activities, some buyers have ones, others, some are identical. By using this methodology, we also align every part of the process: the contract objectives, the requirements, the wording criteria, the contract monitoring and payment schema, the offers, and the evaluation. And we also include the perspective of all the stakeholders possible, as I also said before: patients, healthcare professionals, healthcare provider, the health system, and also a more broader socio-economical impact. All this together is how we define and bring value, real value, to the healthcare system. So that's the methodology used at the RaDAR project, and just the last slide to show you the current state of the project. Now the first part, the clinical demand, the market readiness assessment, are completed. The 5 tenders were published by the 5 buyers. With those, because some tenders were divided in lots, 18 contracts were awarded to 15 different companies, to 15 different economical operators, and all the contracts are currently in the implementation phase. So thank you so much for your attention, and if you want to learn more about RaDAR, you can also visit our website and follow us on the social media. Thank you. Okay, I don't know if there is any question so far. If not, I think we can move to the next part, that the next part, that is the roundtable focused on the RaDAR implementation and the experiences from the healthcare providers and healthcare system research institutes. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Maider is not here. She tried to leave Barcelona and got a bit stuck with the train. So I think last time she contacted me, said that she didn't manage to catch the train, or that was not working. So, but we have the rest, and Olman, you are the moderator of the roundtable. So we have representatives from all the other organizations, ICO, Unina, Laboratorio de Referencia en Hospital del Mar, So I give the floor to Olman to also moderate the table and present the speakers. Thanks, Olman.
Thank you so much, Maria. Can you guys hear me? Yes, great.
Yes.
So great. So let me just share my screen and introduce you to this table. You can see my screen now properly? Yes?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, great. So great, we're in this first table in which we're gonna check this RaDAR implementation and the experiences from the buyers, right? And it's an interesting element to address here in this set of buyers that we have healthcare providers like Institut Català d'Oncologia. We have a laboratory, the Referencia, also as a buyer, which is a different profile, working together with another healthcare provider, which is Hospital del Mar. And then we have two health system research institutes, one in Unina, who is acting as a buyer with the Federico II Hospital, and the case of Bio-Guipúzcoa. So let me introduce you first to a concept of time. This project goes about rapid detection, right? So here Bill Gates tells us we always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10 years, right? So this gives us also a perspective in terms of long periods of time over short periods of time, which later we will see that this is also quite related to the project itself and the micro and macro elements that on the One Health approach, we have the macro. On the micro level, we have the antimicrobial resistance of these little elements. So let's take a look, as Ramon said, of PPI and a metaphor of transformation. And let's take a look at Maradona as an example, right? So when he was just a little boy, he said he had a dream. No, he was going through difficult times. He was incubating pains, but he had a vision, and his vision was, one day I will be the World Cup champion, right? But to get there, there were several steps and things happening between, right? So that is a metaphor also addressing transformation through PPI, because in two ways. You have contracts in which you have this relationship between the healthcare providers and the innovation providers, and then you have another element, which is the building of evidence. And in this case, this project also, as Marco mentioned, come from this champion, which is Enric Limón in Catalonia, for example, had this element in incubating the pain and saying we need some detection mechanisms, and that gave the conversation from him and Ramon Maspons and Aquas. What can we do about it? So this instrument, the PCP, pre-commercial procurement, ended up being an EU-funded PCP called Anti-Superbugs, which is then the first element of those 5 years of work in which there was just one buyer, how that translated into RaDAR-PPI, which we have now 5 buyers, we have different countries, different settings, different cases, right? So over this other period of time, we have a 10-year span in which this transformation has been shaped by coordinating more and more actors, right? And this instrument is interesting, as you have probably seen this image before, which is the case of this wise man addressing, an elephant, and each one of them, with their eyes folded, has a different perspective of the problem and the challenge. And this is a little bit of what we will see next with the different cases of the institutions, the roles that are involved in this. And with this introduction, let me then go with each of the cases. And we will go now with Laboratorio de Referencia. We have Bonaventura Ruiz. The floor is yours, Bonaventura. If you can please introduce, each one of the buyers is going to the speakers is going to introduce a little bit of what their procurement is. So, Bonaventura, please.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just let me use just my first 20 seconds just to thank you, Aquas. You know that the triplet for Laboratory de Referència a Catalunya, Hospital del Mar, and Consorci de Seguretat Social joined the project when the project was ongoing 2 years ago. We really did a catch up, and this is a task with a lot of energy from our part, but it has been very easy with the advice of Aquas and the host of the rest of the partners. So first of all, thank you for joining this project that is an unmet need and has been really a catalyst of something that previously we had in mind to do and to put in the area of our attention. A brief introduction to our institution. ORC is a public network of laboratories where we run 14 laboratories across the Catalan territory and serve more than 20 hospitals that belongs to the Catalan health systems. Either tertiary hospitals, as Hospital del Mar or Hospital de Reus, Hospital Sant Joan, the city of Reus, and other medium level or secondary hospitals that attends what we call the comarca, which is the unit of administrative unit here in Catalonia. And we are also since 2022 we are promoting what we call DIVI, which is the biomedical and imaging diagnostic network that joins also not also laboratory but also imaging and pathology. The next one, please, Orman. Just as I said, our participation in RaDAR is a triplet. Hospital del Mar is also a main partner for project to start, to launch, because it's the hospital where the pilot has been set and all the structure, all the circuits to set the project has been done. Hospital del Mar is a comprehensive healthcare organization that constitutes a major health campus in Barcelona's coastline, serving as one of the city's most dynamic centers for clinical care, academic training, and biomedical research. Some figures that you said before, Hospital del Mar, but just to explain the problem, these are figures, I don't know if are current figures or from last year or 2 years ago, but the number of nosocomial infections per year is important, and economical impact of this problem is also very high. So it's an unmet need, urgent to tackle. And this is a part from our presentation. You want to explain? Do you want Orman to explain a little bit how we?
Yes, let's take an opportunity then for each one of you now that is presenting to address the current scenario, let's say, or where you're coming from and where your model wants to go. And I will also allow you to introduce Maria Milagro Montero, who is also here as another speaker from Hospital del Mar, and you can introduce Bonaventura and Maria as you consider this slide, and then you introduce the case of Laboratorio de Referencia, Hospital del Mar, and Consorcio.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really happy to be part of the really important project. I'm part of the infectious diseases department, and I'm the coordinator of the infection prevention and control program at the Hospital del Mar in Barcelona. And maybe for me, the most important thing is the RaDAR project represent for us a clear step forward in the quality of care. Before RaDAR, in our day-to-day, in our real world, we use conventional phenotypic screening for the detection of multi-drug resistance. And our results took 48 hours to 72 hours, sometime longer, and we need long time waiting the results of the detection of the multi-drug resistance. And with RaDAR, we act in around 8 hours. This is the most important difference with the previous model and the RaDAR solution. And we we need only 8 hours to detection of the multi-drug resistant, to act in the isolation patient, desisolation patient, and to start the empirical antibiotic decision. This is really important in the infectious diseases treatment. And other part of the RaDaR flow is the whole genomic sequencing. It's a prospectively epidemiology. We need information about the transmission, about the clonality, about the mechanism of resistance, and with the whole genomic sequencing is a very important implementation tool for improve our decision about the situation in the patient. And with our RaDaR project, we reduce the delay from the detection to action and improve the prevention control of the multi-drug resistant spread.
Okay, thank you, Mila. And now let me present you Ana Álvarez from Institut Català d'Oncologia. Ana?
Yes, hello everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for organizing this meeting even online. It is great to share some space with you all. So my name is Ana Álvarez and I work in the Catalan Institute of Oncology, and also I'm working in the VINCAT program, that is a surveillance program of healthcare associated infections in Catalonia. And we work in surveillance and stewardship together with professionals from the hospitals, primary care centers, and also long-term care facilities around the whole region of Catalonia. And then we are located in a hospital that is ICO, and that is a public non-profit center working in the field of cancer. So we work with oncohematological patients that are especially vulnerable and sometimes immunocompromised. So that's why speed in the detection is essential for correct management and prognosis of the patients. And we have also patients with more frequent antimicrobial treatment that are medicalized and with a higher incidence of AMR. We also have a characteristic that we have an external lab that is near our hospital across the road in the hospital of Belvite. And with all this context, we decided that it was a priority to find a way to improve how we manage this type of infections in our hospital to reinforce infection prevention and control. And with need assessment, we identified some priorities in our hospital. So we tried to be very ambitious, and with this budget that we had, we tried to do as much as possible to improve our situation. And we divided our procurement in 3 different lots. One dedicated to screening in the entrance of the hospital. Second one dedicated to rapid diagnostic of bacteremia or sepsis. And the third one, but not less important, to improve the way we manage our IT systems through a new software that could facilitate the day-to-day of our professionals. So we can go to the next slide, please. So how we managed before RaDaR the infections in our hospital, as infection prevention control have been always a priority. So our professionals work very hard in preventing infections. But before, what we had is that diagnostic tools were not very rapid, or these technologies were not available for the day-to-day. So our diagnostics of bacteremia or sepsis or the screening at the entrance of the hospital was culture-based. So the results could take up to 72 hours or even more. to have the first decision. So it takes some time, and then it causes delay in preventive measures and the target treatment. So in the part of the bacteremia detection, before when we had a suspicion of sepsis, the clinician has to rely on conventional methods, and sometimes they needed to apply empirical therapy, and also now with the new technology that we have, that is QDX, that is distributed by Durbith, a small company in Valencia. We have a new technology that we can have in 3 hours from whole blood to result the first results if we have a microorganism or a multi-drug resistant microorganism. So we have the first decision in here. And regarding the screening, we now have this GenExpert method distributed by Cefate, where they are the owners of the technology actually. And now when a high-risk patient enters to a hospital, we can have this result in 1 hour or even less, so we can make the first decision and implement preventive measures or isolate the patients. And with this, we can limit the spread of antimicrobial resistance in the hospital. And in the part of the software, we before use the conventional hospital information system and an Excel files, and with IPC nurse going with the Excel file through the hospital with a high workload. And also we had some miscommunication problems, and now we have the new software in the hospital that is being integrated. That is a software from Informatica Medica and a company from Catalonia, and that facilitates the day-to-day of the professional regarding infections with real-time results, with alarms and easy access to patient information, etc. So with all these 3 lots, we have a rapid detection and a smart infection prevention and control now in ICO, thanks to this PPI project. So it was a bit our case.
Great. Thank you, Ana.
Thank you.
So now let me then introduce Madalena Hilario from UNINA, which is Federico II University Hospital. Madalena, please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you, everybody. And I share with the colleagues the acknowledgement to Elizondo for supporting and to APAS for supporting us in this journey. For us, it was a journey because our hospital is a university hospital, is a high specialty hospital that has only a ER for OBGYN emergencies. We are connected to second level emergencies for stroke, for orthopedics, for CCU, and so we are under pressure for a number of complex diseases. So our region is the black shirt for antimicrobial resistance, I think one of the worst in Europe, and we decided to invest the budget that was appointed to Federico II University for reducing the fragmentation of the approach to antimicrobial resistance, purchasing a platform that has been designed to support the data collection for monitoring, the stewardship and support to clinician through guidelines that could be updated. This was our experience during the project. Indeed, we could join forces with the colleagues from the departments that were more sensitive to the impact of antimicrobial resistance, like the ICU and the neonatal ICU, and update the operational guidelines of the hospital, because there was a need for that. And it was only thanks to a group that was simulated by RaDAR that an interdisciplinary approach was supported. It was also easier for us as a university hospital to access to other expertise, because being a university, you are easily connected to departments that are veterinary and biochemistry and other departments that are not rooted in the hospital, that is a separated entity than the university department. So this increases fragmentation, but thanks to a European project, we could undergo a shared journey through the project. We also purchased this point of care because one of the issues is the delay in the identification of antimicrobial resistance. So to reduce general therapy, it was possible to reduce the time of the identification to 7 hours. So that was a big achievement. And the responsibility, the shared responsibility for the point of care by nurses and lab technicians was really a good organizational success, because usually they tend to resist change, but they could see the effectiveness of the tools. We also identified in the effort of integrating the data flow and the platform with the hospital data flow, we also had the opportunity to integrate, to identify some bottlenecks in the integration, because lab data flows are managed by different big companies, and that's a lock-in system in the hospital. It's very hard to have them modify their cases to put data so that the information deriving from RaDAR could be exploited by clinicians throughout the hospital. But we are confident that the project also allowed us to increase the sense of urgency in taking action against antimicrobial resistance, and this is a shared challenge. Another important point was the administrative process. I would like now to highlight that it's true, PPIs all share this administrative need, and it's totally different than what our administrative offices are used to. So the challenge shifted from the targeted challenge to antimicrobial resistance to the need to manage the administrative process. And this was something that kept us busy for the first year and a half, I think, of the project. And it also allowed us to identify some university professionals in the administrative department that were more available to learn new approaches and could be the core cluster of people who could support us the scale up of innovative procurement in the hospital, because you have to do a peer-to-peer learning process also at the administrative level. So probably what the university could do is to identify a centralized office and like a mini hub and spoke model for centralized purchasing procedure when there is a need to implement a PPI process. The last part was we involved several departments, pediatric surgery, pediatric ICU, adult ICU, geriatric department, and we could not, for budget constraints, involve also oncology department and nephrology, which are the two next steps for us if we manage to keep the track going. But we had interest by Caserta local health agency hospital to join, and this was another challenge because there is a need for adaptation in terms of organizational procedure and interoperability of the data flow between what was done. There was already a challenge in our hospital between the platform and the data flow of our hospital. Not to mention to integrate the platform of the university with an hospital that's not our university hospital. So there are other GDPR and other constraints that should be addressed if we would go in the direction of an hub-and-spoke model to manage, like you are building here, to manage antimicrobial resistance. But what has been clearly evident is that the local community hospitals are much faster than us in scaling up, because they are, once the tool is ready and the organizational and the training are set up, they have just run and they can implement really quick. So the model for us is that the university can set up the organizational procedure, the training content, and the administrative elements, and then you can transfer through an adaptation of some elements the tools to another hospital. And it has a strong potential for horizontal scale up in the region. This is how
great. Thank you, Madalena. And with this, we don't have Maide, right? Just maybe for the case of mentioning the case of Gipuzkoa as another research center, as another buyer, the fifth buyer of this. They are a research center from Donosti, and what they're purchasing is an aggregation of results of all these other different PPIs during the project, which is in itself an innovative approach of using PPI to address how, if we look at AMR as a long-term project or as a long-term challenge that we won't solve, let's say, right around the corner, we need to build up how do we compare these cases, how do we make those cases then feasible or available or easier to adapt and adopt for other healthcare institutions within our own health systems or other health systems, right? So I will then stop sharing here so we can see our faces better. So, and let me address then a change management element. And Bonaventura first, and then Mila, maybe you guys could also introduce what aspects of trying to already organize a laboratory with your relationship with the hospital, with the help of consortium, whatever. How has this been addressed in terms of the type of professionals and the type of relationships that have been built thanks to RaDAR? Bonaventura, if you want to go first.
Of course, there is the need, but when we started the project, there is a special step that is unavoidable, and to explain very well and to gather the compliance or the confidence of all the stakeholders. So you need to go out to the laboratory and to talk to the clinicians. With Hospital del Mar, we have a very good relation with infectious disease, who have been the leaders of this project in Hospital del Mar. But it's really an aspect that you have to change the mentality or change how things are done routinely and on a daily basis in the hospital, because there is a change. You have to, for example, to ensure that the samples reach the laboratory at the right point at the right time. You have to change for example, some circuits, some flow strategies, even to speak with the nurses to change how things are done in the special shifts. And this is something easy to say but difficult to do. We take several weeks to establish a good circuit that allows or ensures that the samples reach the laboratory at the right time. And then also in the other part, and Mila can assess that, once the result is obtained, not in 72 hours, but now in 6 to 8 hours, there must be somewhere in the other part of the wall or the other part of the telephone line to do something with the result to be actionable at that case. And this is also something that stresses the organization have to be overcome.
Yes.
Questions like that.
Yes, I agree. Was really important our meeting, our weekly meeting with microbiologists, with all the stakeholder, and the institutional support was really important. The institutional support and especially nursing, because we need organize and standardize sampling and shipping, and it was really hard. Was the first step in our project, the organization in our institution to the pre-analytical organization was really hard. But for me, our meeting every week was really important with all the stakeholders for the good results.
Great. Thank you, Mila.
Let me add, there is not, let me add, because one of our approach is the molecular biology, the genomic sequencing. There have to be a little effort just to explain or to agree with what kind of information this approach gives to the doctor. Because it's something new, you have raw data, you have metadata, you have to track all the patients in a molecular basis, and this is a new language, and you have to have a consensus with the doctors, and this is also a part of the project, and you have to invest time in doing it well.
Great. Thank you, Bonaventura. And Mila, I think you have pointed out several elements of each of your cases. Madalena was also pointing out some of the different type of profiles that from university to hospital has been challenged to change the way in which they were working, because we're looking towards a future transformation that is happening even before the technology it's introduced, right? But it's helping to get this more global consensus and alignment among different actors. Anna, could you please give us a little bit of your take on this part of the hurdles and maybe those challenges that this change management has happened within the eco context?
Yes, of course. So of course, with this RaDAR project, we had a lot of opportunities to improve how we manage infections, but it was also complex to implement all these new technologies and new workflows. And also we faced some more complexities on the also procurement procedures, as tendering processes can be slow and can be complex. And because projects like this are limited in the time, so this delay can have a direct impact on timelines. And also is something that can be some opportunities to learn how to do that, because now we found some solutions to not having reduced the implementation phase. But it is a factor that is important to consider for future projects, also PPI projects. When you implement an innovation in a tendering process, it can be slow in public institutions. And all the challenge has been the structure of the project itself, as it is very ambitious with 3 different lots. It is also including 3 different workflows at the hospital with stakeholders, with professionals, integrating a software. So all this is complex itself, and it requires time, effort from everybody. So it is essential to have this into account, to plan a timeline with all this. But despite these challenges, I think the process has been highly valuable, and it has strengthened collaboration across department, improve the understanding of the barriers we have, and providing important insights that I think will facilitate future implementation and scalability of these solutions.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Anna. And I think now you've introduced another important element, which is this scalability. What happens next? And this brings me to the point of sustainability and continuity, right? So, what elements would decision makers in your institution would need to address? And I would go now for maybe Madalena and Bonaventura to give me an insight on this perspective. What is it that is relevant to address, and how close are we to align with those decision makers at the different levels that from our institutions, each one we need to take up to their decision making, but then there are also other institutions. How do we go about this? What's your take? Maybe Madalena, could you start, and then Bonaventura?
Well, RaDAR, as I mentioned earlier, as represents an opportunity for structural change, because from here you can decide not only to tackle antimicrobial resistance in a more integrated way, aligning a number of efforts that are already ongoing in different agencies in the region, because we have an agency, a regional agency that is building the regional platform for data collection, and that's a place where you can point with our platform. There is another place where they are collecting data for surveillance that are still fragmented, and they have not KPIs that are aligned. So there is a window of opportunities. You can decide to strengthen the approach to public procurement, so you can strengthen administration. So it's, but at this point, as a university and a university hospital, there is little we can do, because you need a stronger commitment. The colleague Montero just referred to the relevance of having a strong top-down support. So this is something that we were missing because it's still seen as a European project. So when you talk about European project, everybody understands, oh, it's a thing that is only for the university. So who knows what they're doing? So there is a cultural, the need for a cultural change. And it is something that we can predicate, we can preach, but we cannot brainwash people. So it should be a top-down intervention from the European Commission on the government and say, listen, guys, in case you didn't get it, European projects are just the way to put together a new approach to a new answer to your needs. It's not something that universities do. They are enabler. So they can help you because they have easier access to interdisciplinary expertise, because their administrative offices are more willing pressure, but they do it. So they implement the new administrative processes, they have students, but at some point you need a public top level responsibility to scale up. So we can do it. We have all the elements to do it. We know what to do, but there is a need for a commitment also for the people who sit on decision chairs. So
Great. So I think maybe Bonaventura, could you stress how do you make it easy for those decision makers to take decisions within a context of uncertainty? What's your take on this?
Well, I think that for the decision maker to put a new strategy or a new standard into practice, I think there are three main questions to be answered. One is the effectiveness of this new solution, which value, which impact has in the clinical practice, if it's positive or not it's positive. Now, in our case, with this month of executions, we are quite optimistic. We have initial results that are very good in this sense. But another one is when you establish that there has value, to translate a pilot into a whole spread hospital flow, you have to ensure that operationally and also legally and culturally you have the organization prepared to do this jump to the new scenario. And finally, it's money. All these strategies relies on money, on investment. So as a decision maker, I would like to have I don't know, a comprehensive study of cost benefit about the solution. This is difficult to do. A decision maker frequently also sees laboratory cost. It's difficult to see beyond the cost in laboratory, but you have to have a vision of 360 degrees. Which is the decrement, the decrease in antibiotic use, which is the decrease in mortality, morbidity associated to AMR, and so on. So I think these three things are questions to be answered to do the next step.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I think you guys are introducing very interesting elements that also point towards something that is embedded in a PPI, which is the business case, right? You were forced or introduced to trying to define what's the business case before the intervention. And now we have a challenge to update that business case so that for different level of decision makers in your institution, in your health system, in other key stakeholders that might have an important input, that they can work now with the type of evidence generation that has been produced in the project. So maybe Mila could and Anna could. What would be the future vision of these next steps that you foresee are on the horizon? Mila.
For me, the first step is consolidate our workflow locally, no, and as a standard practice. Now we need consolidate. The next step is formalize responsibility. We need more time. Our dream is we have a laboratory 24 hours, 7 days to do results all time, every day, and medical staff do something with these results, o sea, formalize responsibility, and ideally aim to scale across hospital in regional level. If it's a dream, it's a dream, and the long-term results maybe should reduce the multi-drug resistant prevalence and the nosocomial infection, and this is the most important results for us.
Great, thank you, Mila. Anna.
For us, for the future vision would be for us, the ideal is the next step will be to consolidate, as Mila said, the workflow at our hospital, and also to have evidence generated that we can show to our management teams, financial, but also clinical directors and management, with also to demonstrate the clinical impact and cost effectiveness, and to the viability of maintaining the solution at our hospital, and also the possibility to scale to other context, similar context to ECO. And for that, we are working hard to have this evidence, and hopefully also as we work in the Big Cat program around Catalonia, we will try to show this positive impact, so every other hospital have the opportunity to have these new workflows and solutions.
Thank you, Anna. So maybe just to close, one last word from Bonaventura and Madalena, some take-home messages that we can use to close this table, as it's been really, really inspiring to learn from you, from the different profiles, different experiences of these cases.
No, just a last commentary, just to stress the commitment of the companies that were, I think, as a general basis, but in our case, this is very, very important for us. The PPI system of KPIs is a very useful tool that engages the companies in trying to work with us on a daily basis, trying to solve problems, and this is a very, I think, because it's a very good part of the project. So just to stress the importance of also having the commitment of these companies in the project.
Yeah, and just to follow up with you, not only keep up the collaboration with the companies that have been providing the services, but also with we have an innovation ecosystem in Campania that is the reference site. So I think that it is very important to have the opportunity to be together in a place that is the place in between. I was talking with colleagues from architecture department, how important are in the cities the places in between the buildings as a place for aggregation and keep momentum. So in the meantime, we wait for the next few projects that will bring us together. We could use the reference site collaborative network as a hosting organization for a thematic working group where we can still keep exchanging issues, challenges, and how we address the challenges. Because for me, for example, being able to stimulate regional laboratories, diagnostic laboratories, to go towards a prospective use of data from genotyping would be really the way to go. Is what's your vision in 10 years? Is hoping we have the same organization that is here, because it means we have an integrated approach. So.
Great. So thank you all for all your insights. I think we have seen the voices and perspective from professionals from a laboratory, a reference laboratory, from universities, research center, from the clinical perspective at the other end, and from a specific specialized hospital like an oncology hospital. We didn't have a Maider's perspective from Biogipuzkoa, but I think just to also give her some presence, and now, as Bonaventura said, we also have the innovation providers, in this case Qualut, who are leading this aggregation of results from different cases, which has the complexity of trying to address how this can be actually done and what sort of conversations we need to have for things like interoperability or what it's relevant for each of the profiles that might, have an exploitable result there to address or something that could introduce future transformation, as Madalena was saying, in different settings, in a wider perspective that it's interesting and that we will see on a follow-up table later on and that we will hear from them, which is really important, as we saw with the elephant, that the actors that come across a PPI come together. And we're coming together at the end with this sort of collection of evidence and results that is arriving from this interaction. So thank you all for participating in this great table. It's been a privilege to moderate it, and I pass the floor back to Maria. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you, Olman, for moderating the table, and thank you to all participants, Bonaventura, Mila, Madalena, Anna, for the explanations and the insights on your project. So now I think it's the time to have a short break, 10 minutes break to stretch a bit the legs. It's something as we had planned also a break to stop for a second, and in 10 minutes we come back if that's okay for everyone. So perfect. See you in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome back, everyone. See, Berenice ready. Perfect. Let's wait 1 more minute maximum. Okay, so I think it's time to continue. Welcome back, everyone. We will now have a second roundtable focusing more on the role of GPOs and in public procurement of innovation. Allman will also again moderate the discussion of this table. So we will have 2 other partners of the RaDAR consortium, Berenice Cloet from RESA and Jordi Jordà for Consorci de Salut i Social de Catalunya. So, Allman, I give the floor to you for further introductions. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Maria. And let me share my screen once again. Here we go. So, can you see my screen? Yeah, right? Okay. So as Maria mentioned, this second table, we have GPOs, central purchasing bodies in PPIs, and we have the privilege to have 2 central purchasing bodies, one from France, which is RESA, as a buyer, who also had a leading work package that helped with their experience in procurement, the rest of the buyers, and the procurement preparation. And we have Jordi Jordà from Consorci Sanitario de Catalunya, who came with also with Laboratorio de Referencia and Hospital del Mar as a supporting entity, and we will talk with them a little bit. So Berenice and Jordi, welcome, and thank you for joining us. Are you guys here? Yep.
Yes. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Berenice. Thank you. And Jordi as well?
Yes.
Great. So what we will do first is also just a little bit like before, we will a couple of slides to introduce, in the case of Berenice, the RESA case as a buyer, and what this role sort of represents, and then we will have Jordi introduce consortia and GPOs in PPIs. So Berenice, we will pass the slide.
So thanks, Allman. Thanks for all being here, and thanks, Aguas, for the insightful stakeholder meeting. I'm Berenice Cloet, European Project Manager at RESA, which is the French central purchasing body and a key player in the French public health sector. And we're supporting and providing over 4,200 affiliate hospital, healthcare and social welfare facilities, and as well regional authorities. And we also offer tailored procurement solution which cover all needs of our beneficiary across the wide range of 12 categories, from medicine through medical devices to intellectual properties and consulting. It's a short introduction to then jump into the RaDAR project, because within the RaDAR project, we have a dual role. On the one hand, as a work package leader, we have a responsibility for coordinating the implementation of work package 3. So helping to draft the various call for tenders of the different buyers. For this, we provided methodological support and tools, and share with the buyers purchasing practices to guide them in their drafting their own tenders. And as a leader of the work package, we prepare follow-up report for the European Commission. On the other side, so next slide, please. So on the other side, we are also buyers on the one of the two buyers group, and our market is composed of 9 lots, divided into 3 thematics, so rapid test, equipment, and IT solution, and so with 8 individual lots and 1 global lot in order to cover all hospital needs. And thanks to the RaDAR project and the procurement budget elaborated at the beginning of the project and its linkage to the EU subsidies, we are able to apply the wholesaler model for a specific part of our market. So for 3 lots, so the IT lots and the solution dosocos and antibiotics, we act for this 3 lot at the recipient of the EU subsidies, and because we first purchase the solution from the supplier, so from Nosotech, and then offers this solution to interested healthcare providers at a discount rate. So it's quite a good opportunity for us to disseminate through our beneficiaries innovative solutions applied to a specific thematic. So here, antimicrobial resistance.
Great, thank you. Jordi, please introduce you.
Okay,
And
quick introduction. So, Consorci de Salut i Social de Catalunya is a GPO, so we act as a central purchasing organization, but not only that. Okay, we are an association, so we represent and we provide services to all our associates. Just to put some numbers, we represent and we provide services to 43 hospitals, 60 primary care settings, mental health, intermediate care, and as well laboratories like Laboratori de Referència de Catalunya. Okay, so one of our services is to act as a GPO for all our associates, but we also include innovation services, sustainability services. We do represent our associates in front of the local authorities. And myself, I'm Jordi Jordà, and I'm the Director of Innovation in my organization.
Great. Thank you. And you want to introduce this part as well?
Yeah, so, Berenice said they had 2 different roles. So in case of Consorci, we only had one objective, and it was to help Laboratori de Referència de Catalunya and Hospital del Mar to buy what they needed. Okay, so that's what we try to represent. The 3 institutions, we work together on the tender process, but then Laboratori and Hospital del Mar are the ones executing the contracts, and then we help them again with the monitoring phase of the contracts.
Great, thank you. So now I'll stop sharing so we can see ourselves better. So this is super interesting because we have 2 purchasing bodies, which they have showed us that they have also different roles within their institution. There are also similarities and differences among them. Sorry, RESA is enabling the French market with this updated set of services and contracts, and Consorci has shown us that they can help and support these member organizations, but that they have other members that could also in the future benefit, or so on. So the first thing I would like to address is how about the value-based procurement element that is introduced in RaDAR-PPI? How was that something for your GPO experience? And Berenice, could you give me a little insight, and then Jordi?
Yes, RaDAR, it's actually it was our first really experience in this area, so in a value-based procurement. So a first big jump into this quite interesting procurement practices. But in order to start implement this kind of procurement practices, we are initially implementing specific clauses in the tender document, so in the first phase of public procurement, in order to monitor the impact of the solution without introducing a bonus penalty mechanism. because we would like to prefer to set up a voluntary three-party dialogue and define the indicator directly with the end users. We are interested to collaborate with us in this value-based procurement in a specific area in AMR.
Yeah, and so adding to that, on the value-based procurement, so we are asking our hospitals and laboratory de referencia to shift the antimicrobial resistance approach from a retrospective way to a prospective, right? So now in 8 hours, they can do this. They are doing a shift to treat this antimicrobial resistance approach. So in the process of buying, we also had to change and shift the approach. We couldn't just focus on, okay, we focus on the tender and then the paying system and just putting all we need, because this is innovation and we don't know how we'll act afterwards. So we also need to focus on the monitoring. We also need to focus on adding the company into the contract and into the execution phase, and then monitor altogether the execution.
Yeah, I'm actually, Jordi, I'm quite agree with you. But us in practice, we encountered some difficulties in monitoring these indicators due to the limited time and human resources within the healthcare facilities. And it's something that I would like to point out, that it's really complicated at the GPO to monitor this kind of indicators directly. But we take some from this difficulty myth, because we would like to, at the end of our market, so in 2 years, we would like to do a market assessment in order to take the good practices and fix the difficulty myth encountered, in order to relaunch in a quite ameliorative way our market. So
yeah, I mean, it's true that it's difficult to monitor, like the monitoring phase, and then payment by results will be a difficult part of the project. I mean, we started already doing this payment by logistics, which is an approximation to payment by results. Like if we need some products to arrive at the right time, so we try to modulate the tenders to pay based on that, because this is easier to monitor. Like, okay, when did the product arrive? In the morning? Okay, I needed it yesterday, so I pay you 30% less. That's easy to apply. Then we need to translate this also into the execution phase. And so if I expect with your product, or you say that your product can reduce the antimicrobial sequencing for 3 hours, and then in the reality, with all the changes that we implement in the hospital, it's just 5, then we need to talk about the expectations that we had and then the results that we get.
I think you guys are touching some very interesting elements, because at the end, if we are able to go towards this outcome-based approach, and if you are able to connect with those needs that your, let's say, the final user, it's actually, they're paying, then your contracts, your frameworks become of interest, not just because they are procuring a service or a specific product, but because it also maybe allows them to drive a little bit that transformation, right? In your case, Reza, you didn't know who was going to be that end user, but on the other hand, you're enabling the entire French-speaking market to have these solutions within the framework of something that will live on for sure after the project. So what sort of learnings has this RaDAR-PPI been introduced within the Reza normal day-to-day, let's say, processes and stuff? What can you tell us about this?
I would like to say maybe first two things. The first one, it's allow us so the RaDAR-PPI project allow us to highlight the fact that it's important for this kind of project, so an European project and a PPI European project, to establish at the beginning of the project a strong internal multidisciplinary team composed of complementary profiles. So it means that including at the same time procurement specialists and also technician expert. For the RaDAR PPI, for the RaDAR project and for the PPI, we are helped by Limoges University Hospital and INSERM for the definition of our needs. So it was very useful for us. So it's something that we would like to duplicate for other PPI projects. And apart from I would say the procurement and the technical experts, it's important to have also a strong coordination made by a project management team like us inside the international department of RESA, because this team will be responsible for disseminating key information across the group. So meaning the multidisciplinary team, but at the same time also the consortium, and facilitate the dissemination of information for the European Commission, for our direction at RESA, and also promote the open benefits from a national point of view, and also disseminate key information about the objective of the project, of the PPI, the constraint, and also the key consideration. It's my first point. So establish a strong internal team, and also and when the consortium joined the consortium, we thought that it's something great to have another GPO which allow us to create added value, because we can promote some similarities as we are doing now, and also enabling the sharing good practices, because we have the same scope. So procurement is our key activity. So it's quite nice to promote best practices between European GPOs, and allowing us also to doing some comparison between the organization, because even if we have the same scope, so procurement for other organization, we don't have the same geographical scope. So it's quite interesting to share practices in this.
Yeah, totally agree. Sharing practices. Can I add my learnings, Orman? Sorry.
Of course, please do so.
Yeah, so it was sharing practices, but as Berenice said, it was like us coming, we were the ones coming the latest. So I remember that when we came into the project, Aquas, Eco, everyone was saying, okay, we need to do this like really, really quick. We need to be as quick as possible. We need to accelerate the process. You can learn from all the experiences already done on the PPI. So we looked into the tenders already published that allowed us as a GPO to start working on the contracts themselves, but we did it in parallel with the excellent work, I would say, done with the Laboratorio de Referencia de Cataluña, Buenaventura, Eduardo, and Hospital del Mar, with Mila and all the people working there, because we were working in parallel. They were defining the need, and we were defining the contracts and the tender process. So that's a learning that we get from this project, is that we can actually be quick if we want. We just need to work differently.
Amazing. Jordi, and I think this is a great point to stress, and a big thanks to actually Consorci, Laboratori, and Hospital del Mar, because you actually showed the scalability of the value that doing a value-based procurement documentation, let's say, and all that preparation in aligning the need and all that consensus was already tested in your case to enable a fast-track version for how someone with the same need or a similar need can adapt to the local context, because AMR is always local, but that this collaborative work among different institutions, you are actually showing us how that pace enabled results that are now part of the RaDAR project, and we're so proud and privileged to have all of you here. And with that, I would think we have this table come to an end. Thank you, both of you, Berenice and Jordi. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I send back the floor to Maria.
Thanks, Olman, and thank you, Jordi and Berenice. It was a very interesting explanations to see also the insights from the GPO perspective. So well done. So now we will move to roundtable 3, that is focusing on market engagement and contractors' perspective. First of all, from the market engagement part, Gaynor Wiles, that is the one from JERA that was the leader of this market engagement part, was not able to join today, but she sent us a presentation video recording some explanation. It's a short explanation of market engagement. So I will share the screen first, and then we move to the roundtable itself with all the economical operators that I see that you are already here. I'm gonna share my screen, and I need also to share my audio. So 1 second. Did I find it again? Okay, yes, should be fine. So,
hello, I'm going to walk you through the RaDAR market engagement and consultation methodology. The RaDAR project used a 4-stage process, and I'm going to talk through each of those in turn. The process as a whole concluded with the preparation of a market readiness assessment report. The first step was early notification to the market. Innovation takes time, and we wanted to give the supply chain as much forewarning as possible about the planned procurements and highlight when market consultation was expected to begin. So we published prior information notice really early on at the start of the project. The next step was market sounding. Market sounding provides a framework and opportunity for potential suppliers to respond to the requirements of the customer. And the feedback from the market sounding phase enables an assessment of the capacity, capability and willingness of the supply chain to deliver a solution. And the information provided really helps the buyers and helps them to refine their requirements and informs their thinking. The main communication vehicle was a market sounding prospectus. The purpose of the MSP was to present the market challenge in an accessible and credible way. The next step was market consultation events. The consultation events all followed the same general agenda and used the same basis for presentations. We held 4 local market consultation events and 1 international event. Some of them were in person and some of them were hybrid or fully online. After the events, a report was compiled to provide a record of the event and questions and answers and any conclusions drawn, and these were made publicly available. The next step was enabling supply chain networking. we realised that it may be necessary for several supply-side organisations to cooperate to meet the RaDAR requirement. So we developed a matchmaking tool to help stimulate exchange and cooperation among different suppliers and across supply chains and supply sectors. The next step were bilateral meetings. The primary objective of these individual meetings was for the buyers group to more deeply understand the current and near-term market options to meet their unmet needs, and how the buyers could help to enable innovation. The intent was for the information gathered to help refine the individual clinical demands of the buyers and inform their approach to the tendering and contracting process. Each meeting involved a buyers panel, including clinical and procurement leads, and their aim was to act as the ears of the buyers group as a whole. All the meetings lasted up to 1 hour and had the same agenda. At the end of the market consultation, we were really pleased with the response. As you can see, we had plenty of countries involved, plenty of SMEs, and we held 10 promotional events overall and 48 market consultation meetings. At the end of this process, we were ready to prepare a market readiness assessment. So the findings of the market consultation as a whole were brought forward in this report. It is clearly important to listen to the market feedback, and this report aimed to help the buyers to refine their clinical demand definition and design a procurement strategy to support and enable innovative solutions to be presented and considered. So there you have it. That was our 4-stage process. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Okay, so that was an explanation of the market consultation. I hope it's clear the process that we follow. Next, now we go to the roundtable. We have participation of several of the contracts from the RaDAR project. This table will be moderated by Giovanni Zazzerini from INSME. INSME is the International Network for Small and Medium Enterprises. It's based in Italy. So INSME works closely with public institutions and SMEs to promote innovation, cooperation, and market access, particularly in the context of innovation procurement. So I will give the floor to Giovanni to introduce all the speakers and to moderate the table. Thanks, Giovanni, and everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm happy to moderate this very interesting panel. As highlighted by this morning during the session by Holman and by Marco Iacuito in the morning, the role of public procurement for innovation is also from an economic point of view and from a policy point of view crucial. Probably is one of the most powerful policy tools governments have to shape markets and to drive technological progress. This is also what Marianna Mazzucato in her seminal book on entrepreneurial state highlight. So governments have the chance, instead of just feel and address market failure, to shape new markets and to drive breakthrough. And this is what public procurement for innovation is about, because this industrial policy instrument could allow to lower the risk for SMEs, to easily scale up their technological solutions, and to build in this way new markets. So I would like, and I'm happy to moderate this panel, listen from the contractors, their experience and their insights. As you can see, we are going to have several speakers involved. So my role as a moderator will be also the timekeeping, because this is my PPI as a moderator, and I will try to do my best. First of all, I will give the floor to the speakers to allow them to introduce themselves and in 1 minute, please pitch their solution. Then we can have time for a second quick round of table, speaking about the experience you had in this public procurement process within the RaDAR project. So I will start with Luisa Claraso from Halifax. The floor is yours, Luisa.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in this project, in this roundtable. I am the general manager of Halifax. I will try to reduce in 1 minute my speech. I am not sure that I can do. Halifax, we are participating in RaDAR project, focusing in a phenotypic screening multi-drug resistant organism. Antimicrobial resistance is not only microbiological issue, it's something that today we saw every time. It is a system level challenge, and this is something in Halifax we know very well. Approximately 9 to 10% of hospitalized patients may acquire MDRO colonization, which is significantly higher rates in high-risk wards such ICUs. For that, we think that early identification of carriers is therefore essential to prevent the transmission and guide the appropriate management. We know, all of us, that the conventional culture based on screening typically, and we listened during the meeting today, requires 48-72 hours. And during this period, we think that the clinical and infection control decisions are made under uncertainty. Our solution as Halifax is an automatic phenotypic screening system providing results in 7 hours, more or less. But I think it's really important to say that it detects express resistance to carbapenem, CSBL-MC, and others using swab samples. Why I am saying this is a phenotypic method. It shows that the microorganisms actually respond in presence of antibiotics. Identifying the real resistance. How the bacteria actually respond to antibiotics. And I think this is particularly relevant in this dynamic antibiotic resistant landscape, where the resistance mechanisms are continuously evolving. If we think in screening, and I think it's important here in this meeting, screening programs are applied systematically and scalable. That means that need to be not only speed and rapid, sensitive, need to be also economically sustainable. And this is something that also we listened during the meeting. The key value lies in the same day risk stratification. That means that the clinicians can isolate the patients or desescalate when it's necessary. And that matches very well with the RaDAR project, I think, because RaDAR has highlighted the rapid detection alone is not sufficient. It needs to be integrated in this AMR management. Finalizing is innovating for me in AMR is not only about the speed, it's about the scalable detection integrated in the clinical pathways.
Thank you very much, Luisa. We go back to your experience in a few minutes. Javier Roncero from Altair Health. Can you switch on your mic, please, and introduce yourself and the solution? Your mic is switch. No, we cannot hear you, Javier.
Javier, you are muted.
You are muted.
No, still, oh no.
So
should be on the abajo del todo a la. Sí, no, aún estás muteado. I'm
okay,
asking,
while I suggest while Javier is trying to solve this technical small technical issue, I will give the floor to Francesca Guel. Please, Francesca, are you?
Yes. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for allowing the industry to partner in improving healthcare policies and also helping the healthcare system and also patients to benefit from the value that in this case, molecular technology can bring. My name is Francesc Güell. I am the Government Affairs and Market Access Lead of CFATE in Iberia. CFATE is a molecular diagnostic company. We develop rapid PCR tests for viruses and bacteria identification through what is called our GeneXpert system. GeneXpert platform is very scalable in terms of it can perform a few tests or a big amount of tests with a randomly access, and it's extremely easy to use. It allows to deliver the highest precision PCR while also simplifying the sample processing. For this project, for RaDAR project at the Institut Català d'Oncologia, we provide the rapid PCR solutions to detect 3 bacteria. The carbapenemase-resistant enterobacteria, the methyl-resistant methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, and the vancomycin-resistant Enterococcus. These 3 pathogens are recognized by the WHO as a major AMR threat, and ECDC has included them in their call for action to member states. So we are addressing 3 of major problems on AMR control. These are primarily transmitted in hospitals and also in other inpatient care environments. GeneXpert rapid PCR technology enables hospitals to screen at admission the asymptomatic patients that are at risk of carrying, of being colonized of this bacteria, and it helps to protect vulnerable patients who could be affected if exposed or could be colonized by others. It is, in simple terms, if we detect carriers among high-risk patients early, we prevent new colonization. Then we prevent asymptomatic patient transmission, and we contribute to prevent the spread of antimicrobial resistance. It's a preventive approach in which we reduce the need to expose patients to last generation antibiotics. This helps protect the effectiveness of the antibiotics and slows down the resistance, and improves also patient safety by reducing these nosocomial infections in the hospitals. The implementation in Spain could work as a bundle with the optimization of the antibiotic programs used, PROA, that are called in Spain, creating a synergy which would improve the results on our patients. This is our value proposition, and this is what we do in the RaDAR project with Institut Català d'Oncologia.
Thank you very much, Francesc. Thank you very much. Gaetano Cafiero from Calion.
Good morning,
Good morning.
everyone. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I'm Gaetano Cafiero, Chief Executive Officer of Calian. Within the RaDAR-PPI project, our role is to provide a practical decision support environment that helps healthcare teams to detect trends early, strengthen antimicrobial stewardship, and respond faster to relevant infectious signals. To address this need, Calian is delivering Antimo, our platform for antimicrobial resistance and infection control decision support. Antimo is the result of 4 years of applied R&D developed by Calian, together with clinical and academic partners such as Istituto Dermopatico dell'Immacolata di Roma, IDI, and University of Salerno. We built it starting from real frontline workflows with one clear objective, to turn microbiology and infection control information into timely, actionable insights for faster action that teams can use in daily practice. So Antimo doesn't add the complexity. It helps clinicians, microbiologists, and infection control teams see what matters sooner, coordinate decisions, and act with more confidence. In RaDAR-PPI, this is exactly that the need that we support, making AMR and infection control data usable for faster, better informed actions. We started from a very concrete frontline needs, sustaining AMR surveillance, improving antibiotic appropriateness, getting faster visibility on infectious events, and enabling smoother collaborations across teams. In RaDAR-PPI, this is the need that we address, turning microbiology and the infection control information into timely, decision-ready insights that teams can act on. Antimo delivers one monitoring and reporting environment, guideline-based decision support with traceability, and a real-time dashboard with exportable reports, and structured AMR insights that different teams can share and use consistently. So the outcome is less fragmentation, faster understanding, and better coordinated actions around the same signals.
Thank you very much, Gaetano, for your presentation. Let's go back to Javier to check if, yes, it seems that now the mic is working. Please, Javier, introduce yourself and the solution you introduced.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm sorry. For our perspective, the most challenging and the most valuable aspect has been the opportunity to work on a critical and concrete need, monitoring hospital-acquired nosocomial outbreaks in real time. The RaDAR framework enabled us to deploy an end-to-end solution, mass sequencing of multi-drug-resistant microorganisms plus bioinformatic analysis, and above all, to integrate it into the workflow so that the information is actionable. The joint learning process with hospital teams has also been extremely valuable, and as it has helped improve both the system and its adaptation.
Thank you, Javier, for highlighting already some of the experience you had within the RaDAR project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lauren Bellavance, could you please introduce your company and the solution, the technological solution?
Yes, absolutely. You can hear me?
Yes.
All right. Very good. Thank you. So, hi, everyone. I'm Laurent Bellavance. So I'm Vice President for Business Development for Nosotech. Nosotech is a software development company. So we've been working on infection control and antimicrobial surveillance for quite a few years. The main solutions that we provide to hospitals are Nosocus and Antibiocus, which are software package suite that is installed within the hospitals and that makes the best of data connectivity with all the different software and clinical software inside the hospitals that are required for providing a central standardized patient view of all the different elements that are relevant to infection surveillance and antimicrobial use and optimization surveillance. So one of our key, let's say, expertise and strength is definitely on data connectivity. So which is a crucial part of getting these type of tools and software implemented in hospitals to provide the benefits of the tools. That brings me to why we make a difference for hospital clinicians is definitely because we provide in a single software tool the complete view of patient data coming from the patient record AMR system, the EMR, sorry, patient laboratory data view. That we can connect to the, of course, we connect to the pharmacy data, we connect to operating room data, patient movement, all of this connected in real time in a central tool that clinician can use and then optimize how they work. Because the challenge for them is that right now to do their job, they have to work with many different software, which have not necessarily a common way of getting the data together. And they also need to align with national surveillance program where they need to collect and provide data for surveillance evolution and the different criteria of the surveillance programs, which is very, very time consuming, difficult, and needs some really specific resources to do that will not, those people won't necessarily be assigned to what they have to do in terms of infection control and surveillance of antimicrobial use. So our system will provide those tools and give like specific features like real-time outbreak surveillance and management, real-time monitoring of antimicrobial use and optimization actions, of course, patient tracking and contact tracing in the hospital. Those different tools are used on a daily basis by the clinicians to help them take actions quickly. So the real benefits is definitely time and to reduce time to actions and isolate patients and then monitor the whole cycle of the infection evolution within the hospital. So we are experts at data connectivity and of course the clinician tools up to the end-to-end process.
Thank you, Laurent. I would like to ask you then about your experience, but before of that, I would like to have the last contractor present the company and the solution, Qualud, with Eudald Mas and Luis Crespo, who is going to start.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the invitation of the meeting and the participation in this roundtable. Well, I'm Luis Crespo. I'm Qualud's project manager, and with me there is Eudald Mas, Qualud's CEO. And well, Qualud is a digital innovation company specialized in the healthcare sector. And our mainly area of expertise is the design and development of software for healthcare institutions, both private and public. Also, we collaborate with research institutions like BioGipuzkoa. And what we specialize is in the design and development of humanized and digital solutions for real problems that generate impact to boost health. And in RaDAR, our participation is the design and development of a digital platform which provides evaluation and an advanced interoperable and secure technological centralized solution aimed at enhancing the capacity of project buyers like LRC, ICO, UNIRA, and RESA to analyze and manage all the data related to the antimicrobial resistance. The solution that we provide through the form of this platform is based on a scalable SaaS architecture with multi-entity and multilingual support, and provides integrated functionalities for data upload, validation in structure and content, visualization, analysis, and reporting, all from a user-centered perspective.
Perfect. Thank you for keeping your presentation short, so we have the time for a quick second round of exchange of ideas. Speaking about your specific experience in this public procurement process, and I would like you to point out a specific challenge you had to face, and on the other hand, the value as a positive aspect you would like to highlight in dealing with the RaDAR public procurement process. Again, please consider that we are running out of time. Luisa.
Okay, thank you. From our perspective, I think that public procurement is something that for us is not the main challenge, because it's, we normally sell to the public healthcare systems. But what was required the most important effort is understand the clinical workflow in this project behind the technology. For example, map how the samples move through the hospital from the collection to the lab for processing the samples, because it's important to have to understand this for providing the result in time.
Thank you very much, Luisa. So this is the aspect to take into account to understand the workflow. Thank you very much. Javier, you already anticipated something. Do you want to add to your reasoning some other aspect that some challenge or some positive aspect looking at the experience you had? You are muted, Javier.
Now?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We saw flexibility in the ability to adjust implementation to the hospital's reality and allowing integration to reach the expected performance. A clear example was the weekly sample volume. This showed that in surveillance projects, initial assumptions must account for variability, and that indicators should focus on impact and operational usefulness. In terms of limitation, we would highlight two: bureaucracy, approvals, contracting, internal procedures, which affects timelines and technical quality requirements. In fact, during the project, we found that the initial sequencing protocol did not always provide sufficient depth, which led us to repeat analysis. To make the process sustainable, we changed the protocol to increase depth and robustness, reducing repeats and establishing results. This adaptation reflects the balanced world, innovating while meeting real technical and operational standards.
Thank you very much, Javier. Good points. Francesc, what's your take on on the experience on this topic?
Yeah, the most valuable for us was the possibility to exchange our vision on how technology could support healthcare strategies. It was very important for us to, for example, show how our 1 hour time to result could make an impact on patient outcomes, and also the openness of the buyer, in our case, to listen and matchmaking our value proposition with their current needs. It's process. I think it's a process that we really should be repeating it in other contexts, in other technologies, because it's the way to leverage the potential of the private sector and the public sector at the same time. And the most challenging part was at some point when we tried to matchmake with other partners, other industry partners, not only with direct competitors, which it may seem understandable that it is difficult, but also when we wanted to combine our offer with, for example, an IT company, for us as a company, it was a hurdle internally to make our internal process and dynamics compatible and with what it was being asked at that moment. We didn't achieve it, and this is why I consider it the most challenge, the bigger challenge.
Thank you, Francesc. Very interesting and a new point, at least to me. Gaetano, what would you like to add to this list of challenges and the specific positive experience you had?
From our perspective as contractors, the most challenging part has been turning an innovative solution into something that fits real-world operational conditions across multiple stakeholders. In practice, that means aligning timelines, approvals, and governance, managing heterogeneity in processing, and ensuring the solution can be adopted without adding burden to already busy teams. At the same time, the most valuable aspect has been the structured engagement with public buyers and end users. The procurement process forced us to a very clear focus on outcomes and usability. And the ongoing interaction gave us fast, concrete feedback that improved both the solution and the implementation model. So overall, the challenge is navigating complexity and constraint. The value is that it creates a shared outcome-driven path from innovation to real adoption.
Thank you, Gaetano. I added to the list this experience you had. Lauren?
Yes. Well, in terms of challenges, I mean, it's the experience we have is whether we are in a procurement process with access to buyers through a structured organization, like in our case in France with RaDAR. It's still a challenge to get these type of project prioritized in hospitals because we are fighting in the digital space. We're fighting against other big digital projects which are complex. We are talking about integration of data platforms. So it's still, even in this case, a challenge, because then you get into complex prioritization process for teams internally in hospitals, which have a tough time to build business case internally and get these type of projects approved. So it takes long. It's for us, we know that we're anyway faced into a long sales cycle to get projects approved and going in. But the real benefit at the same time with that type of project is that since we have like a approved, let's say, solution in a national tender approach brings a lot of credibility, and then we have like people open eyes to that type of solution. It did make a big difference. So we're seeing right now the effect. It takes time, but the momentum definitely has been created and has changed, let's say, the way we have those discussions with hospitals, which are now really looking into this, saying that, well, this is feasible. Other hospitals are going for it. So now, it builds the process in place, and with the impact that we will be able to showcase with the KPIs involved in these projects, definitely will support that. So overall, it definitely makes a big difference in how we are perceived and how the projects can gain acceptance in the hospitals, even with that type of complex project.
Thank you, Laurent, for sharing your experience and your view. Eudald or Luis, what would you like to add to this really interesting perspective from the contractor side?
Well, from Qualut's perspective, we agree with something that Francesc said, that is the joining forces and effort from public and private institutions in order to boost health. I think with RaDAR, we are already making progress in this area. And also from Qualut's perspective, it's not a challenge, but it's a normal thing from day to day, the unification of different kinds of data from different kinds of entities, the standardization process, which is a reality that we must face and we engage in every day. And with RaDAR, we prove it possible. And I think that's the most valuable and engaging thing in general in this digital area we're living in right now. But from Qualut's perspective, we point out strongly that public and private institutions together, they can really generate results in health.
Thank you. I think that we had a really broad and interesting discussion about the value of public procurement for innovation, and also from your experience, the experience from contractors, the value of public procurement for innovation, looking at its flexibility, adaptability, the opportunity to exchange the vision and expertise from a technological perspective in favor of the client, and the engagement of buyers and the interaction are at the core of the value of public procurement for innovation. On the other hand, we also have to consider some difficulties, some challenges, some pain points on which we should work, such as the bureaucracy faced in integrating some solution, the difficulties in partnering and in including external players in their offering, the implementation challenge in a complex environment and in a real-world scenario, as well as the integration of data. This is from a technological point of view. So there are, I think, several insights that are valuable coming from this discussion. I think that if we have any questions from the other participants, our speakers are available. If not, I'll give the floor back to Maria. Thank you very much.
Thank you all, I think, and thanks, Giovanni, for moderating. I think it was very interesting to having you all here, like all the different perspective. We have now the last round table. We have Enrique Limon and Jacobo Mendioro. from that they will discuss more from the pilots to the system action. So what the decision makers, governance, and the next steps, specifically in the Catalan AMR response. So this last part will be in Spanish. I will try to add subtitles, so maybe it helps some of you. But yeah, I would like to not entertain myself more. But Jacobo Mendioroz is the Deputy General Director for Public Health Surveillance and Emergency Response from the Department of Health of Catalonia. And Enric Limon is the director of the VINCAT program that we talked about it a bit before. Is the Catalan surveillance program for healthcare associated infections and antimicrobial resistance. And VINCAT also plays a key role in monitoring antimicrobial resistance and promoting coordinated actions across the Catalan health system. So I give the floor to both of you, Enric and Jacobo, and thank you very much for being here. Gracias.
Thank you, everybody. You can hear me, okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, to assist to this meeting. Gracias, María Olman, por vuestra capacidad de resiliencia, porque habéis sido capaces de cambiar incluso la reunión en la peor tormenta de viento que tenemos en Cataluña en los últimos 20 años. Quiero agradecer también a nuestro project officer su asistencia a la reunión de hoy, precisamente porque estaba hablando con Rosana Alexandre hace unos minutos, comentándole que es muy gratificante ver de dónde venimos y la situación de este meeting, ¿no? Yo creo que las presentaciones que se han realizado por parte de todas las empresas son espectaculares. Y quiero hacer incidencia con nuestro project officer sobre que recogimos el testigo de esta convocatoria COSME. Esta convocatoria tenía un objetivo muy claro, que era impulsar la industria europea de las pequeñas empresas o medianas empresas en el tema del control de infección y resistencia antimicrobiana. Yo creo que las soluciones que se han presentado a las diferentes licitaciones expresan muy bien que hemos conseguido ese objetivo y que muchas veces se lo explicamos también a las empresas. Esto es solamente el punto de inicio, es decir, esto lo que les tiene que proporcionar es una palanca de acceder a mercados que muchas veces están restringidos. Hemos trabajado mucho con Jacobo sobre cómo podíamos hacer estos 20 minutos para que fueran realmente útiles. Jacobo en estos momentos es una de las personas más influyentes a nivel nacional en el tema de la resistencia antimicrobiana y control de infecciones, no solo por su representación de lo que sería Cataluña, sino porque están tirando adelante todo el sistema de vigilancia en diferentes ámbitos a nivel nacional con la Agencia Nacional de Salud Pública. Gracias, Jacobo, por dedicarnos estos minutos y entre él y yo lo que hemos previsto es estos 20 minutos intercambiarnos algunas preguntas, intentando que sean útiles también para las empresas y que haya esta capacidad de diálogo entre lo que Maricecil nos pidió hace unas semanas en Viena, de que se implicaran los policymakers en este tipo de proyectos. Paso, Jacobo, a hacerte alguna pequeña pregunta y luego, si quieres, intercambiamos opiniones. Con toda la visión global que tú tienes en el ámbito nacional, ¿realmente le podemos decir a las empresas que hoy están aquí asistiendo o las que verán esto posteriormente, es una prioridad la resistencia antimicrobiana en salud pública en Cataluña y en España?
Bueno, gracias por la invitación y por la presentación. Creo que no me merezco, pero yo diría que ha habido y hay una clara demostración de que sí lo es. Es decir, ha habido un cambio legislativo a finales del 2024, en lo cual la red de vigilancia, que normalmente lo que hacíamos era la vigilancia, control y actuación sobre enfermedades infecciosas de declaración obligatoria, entendidas como las enfermedades que nos pueden producir un riesgo poblacional, se incluye dentro de lo que es esta vigilancia las resistencias antimicrobianas. Y eso quiere decir que entra a nivel de todos los mecanismos, tanto de preparación, de respuesta, de seguimiento de procesos, de diagnóstico, como un elemento más que nos preocupa desde el punto de salud pública, que hace que se tengan que coordinar todas las comunidades autónomas, toda la red nacional, a través del Centro Coordinador de Alertas y Emergencias, y que nos tengamos de alguna manera que preocupar también de manera intensa y de poder dar respuesta a lo que serían estas emergencias. Con el añadido de que además, una vez que esto se coordina a través del Centro de Control de Emergencias y de Alertas de Salud Pública, también tenemos los pasos, digamos, de coordinación entre comunidades y a nivel internacional, porque a partir de ahí también están los contactos con el CDC, con la OMS y etcétera, ¿no? Que actúa como punto focal de lo que es el Estado español. Por tanto, es integrar la resistencia antibiótica como una enfermedad más, como podría ser pues, la polio o el sarampión o la fiebre hemorrágica, y todo lo que se deriva de que entra en este circuito de vigilancia y respuesta. Y finalmente yo creo que además hay otro aspecto importante, que es el hecho de coordinarnos en una red estatal en la cual tenemos que participar todas las comunidades. Creo que tiene el añadido de que podremos también de alguna manera evaluar mejor, ¿no? Que ya en Cataluña se hace muy bien, pero evaluar mejor incluso cuáles son nuestros mecanismos de respuesta y qué problemas estamos identificando, porque habrá experiencias distintas, ¿no? Todo lo que sea siempre, ¿no? Y poder evaluar lo que se hace en los distintos sitios y cuáles son los resultados que se obtienen entre hospitales que a lo mejor están alejados por miles de kilómetros, pues yo creo que también es positivo de cara a luego nuestros planes de preparación y respuesta. Por tanto, yo creo que se han dado los pasos legislativos a nivel estatal para poder incorporar esta vigilancia, porque es un tema que nos preocupa en el futuro de manera muy importante.
Muchísimas gracias, Jacobo.
Yo te hago una pregunta también. Está muy bien hablar de vigilancia, ¿no? Y de recoger datos y de hacer protocolos, crear estándares, pero luego hace falta lo que llamamos la parte más operativa, ¿no? Que esa es una de las partes que el VINCAT lleva trabajando muchísimo tiempo, ¿no? Con equipos de control de infección y con los centros sanitarios. ¿Cómo luego se operativiza? Es decir, ¿cómo se convierten esos estándares y estos datos y los protocolos que tenemos en actuaciones que realmente nos ayuden a racionalizar el uso de antimicrobianos y evitar la resistencia?
Te agradezco mucho la pregunta porque realmente este tipo de proyectos lo que aportan de innovador es que parten de las necesidades clínicas. Es decir, cada uno de los compradores que hemos estado en este proyecto hemos elaborado una detección de necesidades clínicas antes de iniciar las licitaciones. Y yo creo que eso es fundamental y es algo que la Unión Europea debería mantener. Es decir, potenciar que sean los prescriptores y los que están al lado del paciente los que definen sus necesidades, se las expresan al mercado y esperan que el mercado les dé respuesta. El gran trabajo que hizo Ana en el ICO, por ejemplo, fue hablar con los infectólogos, hablar con los hematólogos, hablar con micro, hablar con la enfermera de control de infección, detectar qué necesidades había y de ahí hacer una propuesta de proyecto, ¿no? Yo creo en esto que es importante poner mucho en valor agencias como Aquas, porque Aquas es una experiencia catalana, pero es un tipo de agencia que evalúa estas innovaciones y que es capaz de elaborar recomendaciones. Por tanto, yo creo que la interrelación de salud pública, como quien dirige las grandes políticas, programas de vigilancia, como podía ser en Cataluña el VINCAT o en Andalucía el Pirasoa, son programas que hacen de intermediarios entre la parte clínica y la parte más política, ¿no? Y después la interrelación con agencias como Aquas o ISMEA en la Unión Europea, lo que hacen es que se interrelacionan todo para que realmente la innovación acabe en el paciente. Yo creo que ese es el punto clave de este tipo de proyectos, ¿no? que seamos capaces de trasladar esa innovación a pie de cama. Paso yo entonces a hacerte una segunda pregunta, que es, hoy hemos estado hablando y has visto diferentes experiencias, ¿no? El laboratorio de referencia de Cataluña con su detección a nivel de genética, Cefate con su experiencia en PCR, pero cualquiera de estas empresas, ¿no? Que están haciendo toda esa detección microbiológica mucho más fina. Yo sé que estás inmerso en estos momentos en esta recogida de datos de microbiología. Por tanto, ¿cómo hacemos que esos datos microbiológicos, incluso ya mucho más finos de los que los teníamos hace unos años, sirvan para implementar políticas de salud pública? ¿Cómo haces para recoger estos datos y cómo los vas a utilizar a nivel de Cataluña?
Bueno, es una pregunta difícil. Yo creo que hay varios aspectos que son muy importantes. Uno es que para todo el tema de la vigilancia y sobre todo del control es muy importante la rapidez en la notificación, en la detección y en las actuaciones. Todo lo que sea ahorrar tiempo en lo que son los circuitos tradicionales de diagnóstico facilitan que luego puedas tomar actuaciones en tiempo y forma para evitar la diseminación más allá de lo que nos interesa. Entonces, todo lo que es apostar por diagnósticos rápidos, ¿no?, en frente de los cultivos, para nosotros es ganar tiempo y, por tanto, también permitirnos actuar mejor. La otra parte, la verdad es que es compleja, porque realmente lo que estamos ahora intentando, o lo que pretendemos hacer este año, es definir exactamente qué programas basados en la parte microbiológica nos interesa desarrollar. Cuando digo en la parte microbiológica, quizás me debería referir mejor a la parte genómica, porque los datos genómicos tienen muchos usos, no solamente el tema de la resistencia. Tiene los usos para el control de brotes, porque personas que son portadores de una bacteria que genéticamente son idénticas nos pueden ayudar a mejorar, digamos, cómo se está diseminando esta bacteria. Hay estudios de filogenia, hay múltiples usos para los datos genómicos. Y lo que ahora pretendemos es definir para cada uno de los microorganismos que nos interesan y también para las bacterias, bueno, pues exactamente qué es lo que queremos monitorizar para cada uno de ellos. Nos interesan las Klebsiellas B, nos interesan los enterococos resistentes a vanconicina, nos interesa exactamente qué y cómo lo trasladamos, es un aspecto importante. Y luego yo creo que uno de los retos más importantes es cambiar un poco quizás, ¿no?, la manera de trabajar que más tradicional, porque tenemos que trabajar mucho más codo a codo con los microbiólogos, en el sentido que yo como epidemiólogo no sé si la mutación de un gen concreto en la posición 27 tiene o no un significado clínico relevante, que es lo que hablabas antes de llegar al paciente. Necesito una interpretación de esos datos, necesito una lectura fina, una lectura rápida. Y yo creo que esa es una parte en la cual, bueno, pues de alguna manera tenemos que ser capaces de que lo que nuestros compañeros de microbiología hacen muy bien, nosotros entenderlo, aplicar lo que tengamos que hacer después y, muy importante también, darles la información que ellos necesitan para también poder interpretar adecuadamente las pruebas. Porque en muchos casos, bueno, una prueba sola, digamos que desde el punto microbiológico no tiene valor. Si lo tienes en el contexto de qué es lo que está pasando y cómo está pasando, me imagino que también les puede ayudar a mirar más o menos algunas determinadas zonas de lo que está haciendo, ¿no? Y yo creo que, bueno, es lo que estamos haciendo a nivel de Cataluña, lo que luego tendremos que trasladar a la red nacional y decidir, bueno, pues qué partes de lo que son los datos microbiológicos, que ya sabéis son enormes, ¿no?, son realmente útiles para luego aplicar políticas de impacto basados en los resultados que obtengamos, porque es un campo muy amplio. Entonces, y cada bacteria es un mundo, y cada virus es un mundo, y cada uno tiene sus particularidades. Yo creo que es uno de los aspectos que a mí particularmente me hace mucha ilusión, porque lo considero nuevo, lo considero interesante e innovador, pero que costará. implementar, la verdad.
Muchas gracias.
A mí hay otro de los temas también, hablando de impacto, que me gustaría preguntarte, porque creo que hay un aspecto del Big Data que es muy interesante, porque siempre se ha considerado, entre comillas, un poco delicado, que es el tema del benchmarking, ¿no? Porque el poder, de alguna manera, transparentar los datos relacionados con, bueno, pues con las resistencias antibióticas que puede tener el centro, pues a veces quizás no se vive demasiado bien cuando yo soy el centro, digamos, un poco más afectado que el del vecino, ¿no? Pero yo creo que es un tema también muy importante, el que seamos capaces de transparentar estos datos entre nosotros y hacia afuera, ¿no? Entonces, este proyecto, esta idea de poder transparentarlo, de poner los datos comparables, ¿en qué se puede traducir después a nivel de los cambios que los propios centros pueden implementar o de las estrategias que ellos desarrollarán a nivel interno?
No, yo la verdad es que está siendo una experiencia increíble participar en la Jan-Ray 2, que lidera Maricecil a nivel europeo. ¿Por qué? Porque nos está permitiendo hacer este benchmarking a nivel europeo y es una de las grandes peticiones que nos está haciendo el ECDC. Es decir, necesitamos disponer de datos, necesitamos ir bajando estos datos a nivel de país, a nivel de comunidad, a nivel de hospital, a nivel de servicio. ¿Por qué? Porque el benchmarking lo que nos facilita es la mejora. Yo siempre digo que en nuestro caso el benchmarking muchas veces repercute negativamente en quien hace bien la vigilancia. A mí, yo en los hospitales catalanes siempre me preocupa mucho más quien tiene 0 infecciones que quien tiene un número considerable de infecciones. ¿Por qué? Porque el que tiene 0 no vigila y además no es consciente de que tiene ese problema. En cambio, quien es capaz de realizar la vigilancia, quien es capaz de implantar un sistema de vigilancia estable y un sistema de vigilancia que vaya incorporando las novedades, como está pasando en el Hospital del Mar, con la vigilancia genómica del laboratorio, ¿no? Es decir, antes nosotros decíamos, tenemos 3 casos en la UCI de cierto patógeno, tenemos un brote, ¿no? Nos ha demostrado el laboratorio de referencia de Cataluña que posiblemente ese brote no se está dando dentro de esa UCI, sino que cuando tú haces la afiliación de esos microorganismos están viniendo de zonas diferentes del hospital. Por tanto, esa incorporación de nuevas tecnologías y esa capacidad de que los centros sean conscientes mediante el benchmarking de la situación a la que se enfrentan es realmente lo que posibilita una posibilidad de mejora. Y eso lo sitúo también a nivel de comunidad autónoma, que como autocrítica diría las dificultades que tenemos de hacer benchmarking a nivel nacional entre diferentes regiones, pero además las dificultades que hay entre los diferentes países europeos para hacer benchmarking entre ellas, ¿no? Por tanto, yo creo que Jan-Ray 2 es un motor de cambio que está propiciando que el ECDC haga peticiones muy formales a los Estados miembros para que el benchmarking forme parte de la forma en que trabajamos. Y voy a finalizar, porque estamos muy justos en el tiempo, con una última pregunta que tiene que ver con la velocidad de respuesta. Pusiste en marcha durante el COVID y la experiencia tuya ha marcado un antes y un después a la hora de expresar los datos, ¿no? Pusisteis en marcha todo un sistema de vigilancia mediante detección precoz, con plataformas de visualización de datos rápidas, ¿no? Y yo creo que me preguntabas por el benchmarking, pero yo creo que la Agencia de Salud Pública, el sistema de salud pública nacional, tiene que agilizar mucho más la visualización de estos datos, ¿no? Por tanto, yo te preguntaría, porque además vosotros tenéis una petición que en la Genrai 2 estamos trabajando mucho, y es que no nos podemos centrar únicamente en el concepto humano. Es decir, tú vas recogiendo datos del ámbito animal, del ámbito ambiental, Es decir, todos estos datos integrados, ¿no? Cómo la red RENAVE, y ahora te lo sitúo en el contexto nacional, está coordinando estos ámbitos, la salud animal, y animal incluye no solo ganadería, sino mascotas, ¿no? O la salud ambiental, y cómo esto forma parte de una política One Health para el Departamento de Salud.
Bueno, yo te diría dos cosas. Primero, nosotros ahora mismo, después de la pandemia, tenemos lo que desarrollamos fundamentalmente era un circuito de respuesta rápida ante alertas y emergencias. Para poder hacer ese circuito, que ahora no tenemos activado, por decirlo así, del todo, porque no nos hace falta, hicimos todo un trabajo enorme de integración de todo lo que eran los datos de laboratorio, todos los datos clínicos de atención primaria, todos los datos de hospitalaria, todo eso juntarlo en un sitio, también tener plataformas para que pudieran introducirse datos desde las propias empresas cuando hacíamos test antigénico, todo el tema del trazado de los casos con personas que llamaban, todo lo de poder programar pruebas de manera automatizada. O sea, hay todo un ecosistema tecnológico de respuesta dormido, porque no lo utilizamos, pero sí que estamos utilizando toda la parte de integración, que es lo que llevamos mucho tiempo trabajando. Claro, durante este tiempo se han incorporado muchas técnicas nuevas, los arrays, las PCRs multiplex, los whole genome sequencing, etcétera, etcétera, que ha hecho pues, que hayamos tenido que hacer muchas modificaciones. Pero todavía, desgraciadamente, estamos en la fase de integrarlo todo, pero integrarlo bien. Es decir, estamos dentro del propio sistema sanitario, de lo que son los sistemas del CatSalud y de nuestra red nacional, no con sistemas fragmentados con diferentes máquinas, diferentes laboratorios, sino en un punto concreto. No solo eso, sino que está todo integrado, está automatizado, está codificado para que los sistemas se puedan hablar utilizando estándares internacionales, para que la información pueda vehiculizarse. Tiene toda una serie de mejoras tecnológicas. Todo eso que es la base de lo que estamos haciendo tiene evidentemente otras ramificaciones. Y vuelvo quizás a la parte que hablábamos antes. A nivel de estatal, es mucho más fácil establecer colaboraciones transversales en base ya a un sistema potente donde podamos utilizarlo también para incorporar datos relacionados con salud animal, con mapeos de resistencias ambientales, etc. En Cataluña hemos puesto en marcha desde el año pasado en el tema ambiental ya un proyecto piloto de monitorización de resistencias antibióticas en aguas residuales que hemos implementado en 3 hospitales de Cataluña y que a finales de este año tendremos. Es difícil porque las aguas residuales no diferencian humanos de animales y tampoco están específicamente diseñadas para recoger muestras de un sitio, aparte de estos colectores hospitalarios que hemos instalado, que ya veremos, ¿no? Pero creo que al final lo que nos permite el poder tener los sistemas de información que integran datos de diferentes ámbitos, de diferentes sistemas, con una metodología común de codificación, de interpretación, de análisis y de visualización, es el paso para, una vez acabado el nuestro propio, ir incorporando pues otras áreas del conocimiento, ya digo, mediante mapas, mediante análisis variados, etcétera, que nos puedan ayudar, digamos, a tener una perspectiva más amplia de lo que está pasando, ¿no? Pero todavía estamos, digamos, en la fase de construcción del núcleo duro de lo que vamos a necesitar para más adelante. Y ya para acabar y no extendernos más, yo también me gustaría hacerte una pregunta, porque yo creo que, ¿no?, lo que nos ha presentado hoy en este proyecto y todos estas...
Por lado, pues Enrique y Vincat, que están interesados pues, en disminuir las tasas de infecciones nosocomiales, ¿no? En nuestro proyecto parece que los resultados preliminares, pues parece que hemos conseguido este último objetivo y ahora estamos en fase de cuantificar económicamente pues, este hecho. Lo digo porque nosotros vamos a terminar este estudio en febrero, ¿vale? Nosotros hemos hecho 600 estudios genómicos de 600 cepas y en febrero se acaba la financiación europea y estamos muy preocupados porque, por la continuidad del proyecto, ¿no? Porque pensamos que este proyecto debería continuar, ¿no? Para ello somos conscientes que tenemos que presentar números, somos conscientes de las barreras que nos vamos a encontrar, primero tenemos que convencer a nuestro gerente del hospital y demás, pero quería saber si a ambos, a Jacobo y Enrique, desde vuestro punto de vista, ¿cómo se pueden apoyar este tipo de iniciativas que parece que casan con vuestros objetivos para que haya continuidad?
Bueno, desde mi punto de vista, lo que he comentado antes de la red nacional y etcétera, ya digo que es un proyecto que empieza o sea, no es que empiece a desarrollarse, lleva tiempo desarrollándose, pero hemos tenido que empezar primero por lo que es el marco legal, ¿no? Que nos permita hacer una serie de cosas, pero luego, evidentemente, luego esto tendría que tener, ¿no? Una financiación que soporte el desarrollo de las redes de vigilancia y de los mecanismos de preparación y respuesta a alertas de emergencia de salud pública. Para nosotros, que es lo que ya llevamos tiempo trabajando, necesitamos, entre comillas, blindar ciertos aspectos de programas de vigilancia y algunos de ellos tendrán su correspondencia molecular o se necesitará la parte molecular para hacerlos a cabo. Al final, pues tendrá que ser, digamos, parte de los presupuestos que nosotros dedicamos como vigilancia epidemiológica, igual que los hospitales pues tienen que mantener quirófanos o tienen que mantener, pues nosotros tendremos que mantener una infraestructura que nos permita de alguna manera poder detectar qué es lo que está pasando y darle respuesta. Y en esa fase es cuando tendremos que definir concretamente qué aspectos más moleculares de whole genome sequencing nos interesa mantener de nuestros programas y para qué queremos mantenerlos. Nosotros por lo menos tenemos la política del valor del dato, es decir, no nos interesa el dato por el dato y no nos interesa datos que no aportan valor. Si mediante financiación de cierto número de estudios para unos aspectos concretos y además que nos permitan utilizar ese dato en múltiples fuentes tiene valor, pues es normal que lo financiemos, ¿no? Pero lo que estamos viendo ahora es del amplísimo, digamos, número de secuencias que se pueden hacer para múltiples microorganismos, cuáles nos preocupan más, cuáles consideramos prioritarias, cuáles pensamos que entran dentro del ámbito de vigilar la salud de la población y cuáles, pues a lo mejor son más experimentales, más investigación, más otros ámbitos que no formarían parte, digamos, de las responsabilidades de la administración, que evidentemente no, digamos que no nos oponemos a ello en absoluto, pero no entrarían dentro, ¿no? El ámbito de la investigación es una cosa, el ámbito de cartera de servicios, por decirlo de alguna manera, es otro distinto. Y eso es lo que creo que es importante que se defina, pues eso, probablemente durante este año. Pero sí que es verdad que a nosotros nos interesa las dos cosas, poder tener una infraestructura que en algún momento pueda dar respuesta, que va por otra vía, va por la vía de reservas estratégicas y ¿no? de mantener, digamos, unos ciertos mínimos para poder dar respuesta, y otra que es incorporar las innovaciones y los nuevos conocimientos a la vigilancia epidemiológica tradicional. Pero irá a futuro, o sea, no es algo que queda sin financiamiento, es algo que desde el punto de vista administrativo empieza con el cambio de normativa legal, que ya digo que ha sido a finales del 2025 y que ya hemos recibido las primeras partidas de fondos por parte del Estado para empezar a desarrollarlos y evidentemente esto es el inicio, pero irá creciendo según las necesidades que vayamos detectando.
Yo me uno a las palabras de Jacobo. Yo aquí reivindico el papel de Aquas y Vincat como entidades que tienen que evaluar qué ha supuesto esta innovación y hacer un informe pertinente al CatSalud, que al final es quien va a comprar estas nuevas tecnologías. Yo creo que es fundamental este papel intermedio en que nosotros seamos capaces de hacer un informe de impacto, es decir, qué significa implantar estas nuevas técnicas y qué repercusión va a tener para el paciente. Y una vez el CatSalud tiene este informe, lo tiene que trasladar a la Agencia de Salud Pública para los fondos pertinentes. Pero yo creo que este paso intermedio es clave. Y yo creo que aquí agencias de evaluación como Aquas yo creo que es fundamental el rol que van a tener en el futuro para ir decidiendo qué y qué no entra en la cartera de servicios.
Entendido. Perfecto, no, muchas gracias.
So, no sé si hay alguna otra pregunta o if there is any other question. No. Okay, then also in view of time, I think we should close the meeting here. I want to thank you all very much, all the speakers, for connecting, for your contribution, for your participation, and your valuable contribution through the morning. And thanks again for the change of format, for joining online, for the flexibility. I think it's not what we expected, but I'm happy with the result as well. So I think it was a fruitful meeting anyway. I want to give the floor briefly to Marco as well for some closing remarks.
Just I want to say thank you very much all, despite the situation. I think that it was a very interesting and fruitful discussion, especially for me, because I'm coming from the ivory tower of the European Commission. So talking about public procurement for innovation, talking about this very specific topic, which is not only limited to one specific sector, but it is very horizontal and very much interesting for all the member states of the European Union, and not only. So thanks for the organization, thanks to Aquas, to the team, to Maria, Rossana, and Olman, and Ramon for supporting this project, for coordinating this project, to all the partners, the old one and also the new ones that have run a lot to get the pace of the project. Special thanks also to the laboratory yesterday for the visit, because it was interesting for me to concretize this innovative solution, but also to understand, as it was underlined also by Enrique and Jacobo, that is to say that the innovation is starting since the beginning, and the discussion with really the doctors, the patients, I mean, everyone that is involved in the process. This is what RaDAR was pushing since the beginning, and also with the involvement of the SMEs. And I'm really going back to Brussels with a lot of takeaways, consolidation, which is for us sustainability, really how to continue the experience also, because the European Union is supporting projects to be there, but we also need the support, as also Maddalena, and we were saying also from local authorities, to further boost this the continuation of the projects, involvement of SMEs, and collaboration in different levels. So really a very fruitful discussion. And once again, thank you again to the laboratory for hosting me, because otherwise today I would have been homeless. Thank you very much, and gracias para este esdevenimento tan interesante. Gracias. Adeus.
Muchas gracias, Marco. Thank you so much. Thank you all. We all hope that today's discussion will help also in the future and how to address antimicrobial resistance through innovation and public procurement. So I just want to thank you again so much for participation, and I wish you a very nice rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.